Good evening. My name is Artie Harris. I'm chair of the Montgomery County Planning Board. Thank you for coming out tonight and to share your thoughts on the master plan of highways and transitways. I'm going to turn it over to Sophia Aldrich, the planning staff, for any opening remarks, and then I'll finish up from there. So thank you and welcome, Ms. Aldrich.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, my name is Sophia Aldrich from the Countywide Planning and Policy Division, and I am the project manager for the Master Plan of Highways and Transitways 2024 Technical Update. This third public hearing is for the Master Plan Technical Update and is being held to solicit public feedback on the potential removal of Mid-County Highway Extended, M83, from the Master Plan of Highways and Transitways, as well as other aspects of the Master Plan. This hearing was advertised in the Washington Times on December 6th, 2024, and duly notified via hard copy and or electronic formats on or before December 9th, 2024, to the residential neighborhood and homeowners associations and other interested parties. The public hearing is a third opportunity for the Montgomery County Planning Board to receive testimony on the Master Plan of Highways and Transitways 2024 Technical Update public hearing draft, to be discussed at work sessions starting in February, specifically the first session planned for February 13th. So the Master Plan of Highways and Transitways 2024 Technical Update public hearing draft plan is an amendment to the Thrive Montgomery 2050, the county's general plan, the Countywide Transit Corridors Functional Master Plan as amended, the Master Plan of Highways and Transitways as amended, and all active area master sector plans and master plan amendments. I'd like to enter into the public record the following documents: the approved Thrive 2050, the county's general plan, the 2013 Countywide Transit Corridors Functional Master Plan as amended, and the Master Plan of Highways and Transitways in Montgomery County as amended. All of these documents, as well as other meeting materials and recordings, are available via the Montgomery Planning website at www.montgomeryplanning.org. I am also entering into the public record a proof of publication from the Washington Times newspaper ad in the paper's December 6, 2024 issue. Staff recommends that the public record remain open for 15 days until January 24th, 2025 at noon. This completes my statement of record. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you again, Ms. Aldrich. We have about 60 speakers here tonight, and it seems like it's growing here. So we will call names in groups. When I call your name, please come up and take a seat at the front table. Individuals have 2 minutes to speak, and organizational representatives have 4 minutes to speak. We will strictly be adhering to those maximums, given there's so many of you. You will see a timer in front of you. Please make sure you conclude your remarks when the timer finishes. Three additional notes here tonight. First, for those watching online, as you can see, we are not in our usual space for this meeting. We do have we've done extensive pre-work to ensure that we were able to stream this hearing this evening. However, if for any reason the live stream goes down, we are recording the event, and the full video will be posted and available on our website before close of business tomorrow. Second, we have a lot of speakers this evening. We want to hear from everyone. We know that some of you testified in prior hearings, and we would ask that you let us know that beforehand and do not repeat your testimony. In addition, you need not repeat what someone else has said if you want to raise the same issue. You may simply let us know that. And then third, I talked about before, we anticipate this room being full. It is full. So please make sure to make space for all. To the extent we have space in this room, you're welcome to stay. Otherwise, feel free to head out after your testimony or move to the overflow room to my left. Okay? So we really appreciate your time here. Thank you, and I'll call up the first group now. So the first 5 are Neil Harris, Paula Messenger, Kristen Midas, Sandra Prather, and Ann Smith. Okay. So Mr. Harris, Ms. Messenger, and Ms. Prather have 4 minutes, and as well as Ann Smith, and then Kristen Midas has 2 minutes. Thank you so much. And we can start.
Okay, hi.
Is your mic on? I'm sorry.
Is there a switch? 1, 2. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I usually don't need tech support. My name is Neil Harris. I'm on the Gaithersburg City Council in my 11th year now, and I've also served on the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments Transportation Planning Board for the whole 10 years, and I'm currently serving as the vice chairman of the TPB. I'm not speaking officially on behalf of either organization, but I've studied transportation for 10 years, and I'd like to share some insights. There's a lot of people here in the room to testify today, and I'm sure there's a lot of opinions on why this project should or should not proceed in the master plan. There are many things I know that people would rather see near their home as opposed to a road, like a park or a Trader Joe's. There's been a lot of discussion of whether transit or roads are a better alternative for mobility. What I'd like to do today is focus on the information that was in the report from the county's Department of Transportation, which I'm told triggered the discussion at the county council level of whether or not to remove M83 from the plan. So I'd like to quote the conclusion of the report, the very last paragraph of the report, which says, as a basic conclusion, implementation of versions of the Mid-County Highway and the Maryland 355 BRT separately and in combination with each other provides substantial improvement to the transportation network performance in the study area. This analysis shows that both projects are beneficial and neither project substantially replaces the benefit of the other. Rather, the benefits of the project are cumulative. Could I have the next slide, please? I'm going to fly through the slides. I only thought I had 2 minutes, so I don't have to talk as fast as I thought I would. This graph shows the throughput, which is how many people per hour we can move with the corridor. And the big graph is the one that has the M83 and the BRT, although it's only the reversible M83. Unfortunately, they didn't study the full M83 project in combination with the BRT project. Next slide, please. This slide, if you look in the light blue column on the second to the right, the middle column, it shows that the number of minutes it takes to move through the corridor is about 35% less than it would be without the M83 project. And one more slide, please. This one shows that we move a lot more people. We move 2,700 people more through the reversible project, and that, again, not counting what the full M83 would give you. So my interest here was piqued when I first decided to run for city council on the fact that I was commuting from Gaithersburg to Herndon, Virginia, which was pretty miserable. And I'm just looking for ways to get people moving. Again, I'm not sure why they didn't study the full M83 plus BRT alternatives. But again, the conclusion of the report is that the combination is really the key. It's the all of the above scenario. 2 final quick points. First, it's important transportation engineering, to provide multiple alternatives, because if there's an accident on one road, adding extra lanes doesn't really help. You need an alternative. I drove here up 270. I should have taken Great Seneca Highway based on traffic, and just having alternatives is important. And the final point is that Gaithersburg did a study of the jobs in the city. We have 40,000 jobs in the city of Gaithersburg, many of which are very high paying and high skilled health life sciences jobs. More than 80% of those jobs are filled by people coming from towns to the north of Gaithersburg. So this project helps people get to work, to good jobs faster and better than it would be without the project. So please, I urge you to leave it in the master plan, whether or not it's going to be built anytime soon. We don't want to lose that option. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, Paula Messenger.
Before we start, can you skip to the second slide, whoever's doing slides? Can we skip to the second one? Thank you. Okay. The Durwood Neighborhood Community Alliance is concerned, is concerned about the impact of traffic transportation decisions and safety in Durwood and along the Shady Grove corridor. The Alliance has an ongoing effort with Councilmember Lukey's office, District 19 State Senator and delegates, MCDOT and MCPD to improve traffic safety from Mid-County Highway to the Metro Access Road. We believe that the two M83 extensions should be considered separately, and we are against removing the M83 Southern extension from the master plan. The southern extension, identified by the green dashed line, is less than 3/4 of a mile long and can have significant impact on the traffic and safety along the Shady Grove corridor. Current access to and from the ICC includes Shady Grove Road and the Metro Access Road. That's roughly a 6-mile loop. The southern extension would connect directly with the existing M83 and Shady Grove Road, reducing that travel distance and alleviating unnecessary traffic from Shady Grove Road. The county's Vision Zero plan, with the goal of ending serious injury and death on our roadways, and the high injury network projects within that plan, are to implement safety countermeasures on identified high-risk road segments and intersections. Shady Grove Road from the Metro Access Road to Mid-County Highway is identified in the county's Vision Zero High Injury Network, which highlights the roads and with the highest serious and fatal crash rates. This area has been identified in the plan as dangerous, with multiple collisions involving vehicles and pedestrians resulting in serious injury and death. Shady Grove Road from Frederick Road to Mid-County Highway is in the county's top 10 list of priority roads. We are grateful that the county's approach has evolved from keeping traffic moving to recognizing that roadway fatalities and serious injuries are unacceptably high, and that significant changes are required. The southern extension will align with and contribute to this effort. The Planning Board's recommendation and the County Council's decision must encompass and integrate with the county's Vision Zero. We are against removing the M83 Southern extension from the master plan and believe that it is critical to meeting the county's and the community's safety goals. I believe we should not take a not in my backyard approach, but a county-wide view and provide for the development of commercial, retail, and restaurant industries. Please do not remove the M83 extensions and the adjacent bikeway from the master plan without replacing them with viable transportation alternative, and don't deny the up-county residents the network of roadways and transportation options and amenities provided to those down-county. I thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you for your testimony. Next is Kristen Midas. Do you have?
I do have a presentation as well. Good evening. I stand before you tonight as a voice for our community, our children, our homes, and our environment. The proposed extension in the master plan threatens to dispute all of these and more. I'm happy to support and actually urge you to remove this permanently from the master plan. There are many roads, Shady Grove to the Metro, which are working well. Next slide, please. I'm representing here the MCT Villages. I'm a homeowner and a parent. Next slide, please. The Village is an association that helps keep seniors in their homes longer, and that is our community. That's part of what we do in the community. This road would isolate us from the other parts of the community. I've lived on Beauvoir Boulevard for over 35 years, and I have two very active children that often use the playground, including this morning before school since we had a 2-hour delay. Slide 4, please. The MCT is a volunteer-led, nonprofit, charitable community organization that helps at least 800 residents in the area, including things like snow removal and leaf raking that we all do at no charge. Next slide. The community and the environment in these areas, the neighborhoods and children will be cut off from their friends, their school friends, their familiar places, their activities in the soccer fields, fragmenting a tight-knit bond that we actually share. Durwood is a unique area of community, and this could reduce the activity levels of children, parents, and seniors by taking away the current walkway paths, playground equipment, and the soccer fields. The environmental impact is extensive. There will be more vehicle emissions, destruction of habitat, of local wildlife, plants, and trees, and a negative ecological consequence for the area. Next slide. This decision just doesn't add up. You can go to the next slide, please. It can also decrease the property value. You can go to the next slide, please. This is some of the wildlife that we recently saw in the past 2 weeks. Next slide. You can go to the next slide, actually. This decision does not add up. It could significantly decrease our property value, and it will overload the roads if it ends up entering onto Redland Road. That's a 2-lane road that would be very difficult to extend. One major issue is the bike safety and the kids' safety and the neighborhood safety that would isolate us.
I'm sorry, your 2 minutes is up.
Oh, I was supposed to have 4 for a group,
Okay, please.
because I'm representing the villages.
Okay.
I'm just about done. Anyway, the extension, in summary, you can go to the next slide. The extension threatens the safety of our children. It isolates our communities, and it will completely cut off our neighborhood from one another. The extension is not helpful. It may have a huge impact on our environment and, of course, on our tight-knit neighborhood and our community. I would urge you to please remove this permanently from the master plan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Next is Sandra Prather.
Good evening. And I do come on behalf of Prathertown Community Development Corporation. There are slides. I welcome you to Prathertown. For many of you who may not know, historic Prathertown is at the intersection of Whiteman Road and Prathertown Road. There is great history here. I represent a lineage of 4 fathers and 4 mothers who founded Prathertown in 1883. The names are present. They paid $390 for nearly 7 acres of land from adjacent landowners. It is one of the oldest African-American founded communities in Montgomery County, Maryland. There is a historic marker that was placed in 2003 by not only County Executive Ike Leggett, but many thought leaders and historians, including the Goshen Historical Civic Society and other collaborators. As a descendant of the Prather founders, we are here to advocate that we will not want to see any environmental impacts to Prathertown. Prior to me coming here, for years, my aunts and uncles came here, and in respect to them who are no longer on the earth plane, I raise my voice for them. I raise my voice for those who have walked, who have toiled, who have served, who build community in this neighborhood. And I ask you to really reconsider the M83 by removing it from the master plan. Next slide, please. We're still standing after 142 years. We are community builders. We are activists. We are caring for many of the well-lived residents in the community. We are doing that by serving meals, providing transportation. We're also helping them with their home environmental issues. If you go to the next slide, there are historic homes in and around Prathertown, and thankfully, many historical societies have documented this. I definitely cannot take credit, but I honor and respect those thought leaders who diligently prepared interpretive material so that this legacy is not lost. You see here, one is the Benson House. If you go to the next slide, in the spirit of being brief, there is the Woodbourne or Blunt House, in which my grandfather, he actually worked on this farm, in which we have pictures that my aunts, they also served at this farm. If you go to the next slide, still standing are more homes that date from not only the 1800s, but you see at the bottom left corner, there's a house that was built in 1925. Again, still standing, much history. I'd like to call out that the Sarah Posey house that you see in the upper right corner, it's also of historic nature. Not only was Sarah Posey one of the first African-American people to buy during an era in which it was restricted ownership. So in 1916, we see a record, a deed, in the land records at Montgomery County, and this is phenomenal. If you go to the next slide, this is a house built by my grandfather, Reverend James E. Prather. He was born in 1911. He built this house in 1940. It's still standing. We gather here. We have family reunions here. We have times of peace here. There are mature trees. We make sure, as you can see from the picture, that we maintain it very well. If you go to the next slide, here is grandfather, Reverend James Prather, promoting peace. That's what he did to public officials. He sent poems of peace. And most recently, my husband, Carl Prather, was nominated the Human Rights Hall of Fame. We're serving, we're preserving this community. We are doing our best to make it sustainable and beautiful. If you go to the next slide, that summarizes some of what we do. Next slide, please.
Excuse me, could
Yes.
you wrap?
Yes,
up,
wrapping
please?
up. If you want to know more about who we are and what we're doing, we're in the heart of Prathertown. Keep going, please. Next slide. Proclamation from the governor, from the county executive, and others. Preserve Prathertown. That is my summary. I thank you for listening, and I thank you for your patience and thoughtful consideration.
Yeah, thank you for your wonderful presentation. Next, Ann Smith.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Ann Smith. Is this on?
Yes.
I don't have any slides. Okay. I was the original president of the Seneca Creek Watershed Partners Board. We're a small nonprofit organization that helps to preserve, and we do a lot of stream cleanups. And the dear MCP chair, the proposed location of the now non-existent M83 Boulevard is where our drinking water is sourced. It was the one of 11 alternatives from the Mid-County Corridor study that required the waters of the USA permit through the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and also the MDE. So a public hearing was in 2013. Many of us here were at that hearing and spoke. The application expired for preferred alternative 9A, also known as M83, because it had unmet requirements that it be the least practicable, least environmentally damaging practicable alternative. And it did not resolve the NEPA equality issues of the exact area where they want to put the 9A. Please remove the M83 from the master plan of highways and transitways technical update. I'm going to skip through some of the complete street comments that I made because I think they'll be covered. I believe that complete streets, if done as complete streets without a lot of changes, will be enough to suffice without having the M83 where our drinking water is. I believe the complete streets need to be applied as defined to reduce stress on existing roads. We need to heed results from agencies whose laws indicated that the M83 or alternate 9A or the Snowden Farm Parkway extended is not practicable. Thus, the Mid-County Corridor Study defaulted to the no-build alternative after 5 years it expired. And the complete streets has now replaced it for our path forward. Please remove the M83 from the technical master plan of highways and transitways. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we'll take our next five. Bonnie Bell, Charles Hendricks, Amy Presley, John Parrish, and Christelle Bivens. Yeah, so once you're up, you can get started because why don't you say your name and you can get going.
My name is Bonnie. Excuse me. My name is Bonnie Bell. I'm speaking on behalf of the Greater Goshen Civic Association. By the way, we were the ones that paid for that and put up that historical marker for Prathertown, our neighbors. The Greater Goshen Civic Association represents a small enclave of unincorporated and usually overlooked Montgomery County homeowners living in sections of Gaithersburg, Germantown, and Laytonsville. We have no HOA, no paid staff. We struggle to keep up with the decisions that the county's making that affect our quality of life. This is an issue that has been popping up periodically for over 30 years. In the early 1990s, and yeah, I testified before, in the 90s starting, my documents are on floppy disks. There were hearings about the then Master Plan of Highways and Transportation, which we did not attend because we were happy with the master plan. We liked M83, we liked the ICC. We didn't go, so we were shocked to find out that following that, they were going to remove M83 from the master plan. We are grateful to your staff this time who recognized that getting a few emails saying, please take this off the master plan, does not necessarily represent the opinions of the residents, the majority of residents in this area. In 2012, so we've gone from the 90s, 2012, our organization did a survey of the residents on the Brink and Whiteman corridor, which is in our thing, that's our main street. We had over a 20% response rate, and 81% of those responders were in favor of building M83. The consequences of not having built this have been severe for our neighborhood. We have incredible numbers of accidents. There was recently a 7-car pileup at the 3-way stop. How do you have a 7-car pileup at a 3-way stop is beyond me. They put islands on Whiteman Road to protect pedestrians because there's not a single sidewalk in all of Goshen. They put islands to protect people from people driving in that. Those islands all had posts on them. Not one of the posts is still standing, so they are being knocked down. With the population growth in East Germantown, Clarksburg, Damascus, Montgomery Village, the need for additional north-south lanes east of Route 355 and 270 has only grown. Our residents oppose removing the right-of-way from the master plan. We support completing the master plan Mid-County Highway in some form. We don't think we need to have a 6-lane highway, what it was originally planned. We definitely support doing it at some point in the future as finances permit. And I will cede the rest of my time so we can all go home earlier.
Thank you so much. Next is Charles Hendricks.
Good evening, members of the Planning Board. I'm Charles Hendricks, Mayor of the town of Laytonsville. I come to this hearing to ask that you do not act to remove the project to extend Mid-County Highway from the county's Master Plan of Highways and Transitways. I make this request with the support of the 5-member Laytonsville Town Council. As new housing has been developed in many areas of our county, and as businesses have sprung up in these newly developed areas, motor vehicle traffic on our existing highways and roads has grown considerably. While the county has pursued laudable efforts to provide enhanced mass transit options and bikeways, most residents and area employees travel through our communities in personal motor vehicles. If recent growth patterns in our up-county area continue, and people's transportation choices are not dramatically altered, we can expect that our existing roads will eventually become inadequate to meet the transportation needs of our economically vibrant region. The county should remain prepared for that potentiality. I say remain prepared because the county has already wisely planned a sensible, environmentally sensitive route for an extended mid-county highway to carry traffic conveniently from the burgeoning Clarksburg area to the northern edge of Gaithersburg and on to the various parts of the county and central Maryland served by the inter-county connector. If and when the burdens posed by increased traffic on current routes becomes intolerable, the county will benefit from the foresight its leaders exhibited in preserving this potential new transportation route. While I agree that expanding roadways should not be the only or even the first option to examine to relieve traffic congestion, I also believe that leaders should be enabled to evaluate periodically the possible merits of new roadways to resolve serious congestion issues when they arise. In my view, retaining the Mid-County Highway extension on the county's transportation master plan will help give future county leaders a broad range of well-conceived potential solutions to foreseeable future transportation problems. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next is Amy Press.
Thank you for the
Press,
opportunity
yeah.
to present to you tonight. First of all, I don't envy your position. I've been in that before. It's a tough decisions to make, but echoing something that Ms. Bell said, there are many residents, Clarksburg Town Center, Damascus, who don't even understand that this is going on. And the reason is that they trusted in the master plan. The reason that many folks in Damascus agreed and finally said okay to the Clarksburg Town Center master plan was the promise of the infrastructure that was going to aid them from 27 going all points other ways in the county. A lot of things have happened in Clarksburg Town Center that have created a worsening problem. First and foremost, and I was on the board when this happened, the development that was scheduled for the 10-mile creep because of environmental issues was canceled. So all of the office building that was to be there is not there. There are no jobs there unless you work retail and can be at the outlet center. So many more people are commuting than what was originally expected and planned for in the transportation. This particular extension, M83, and all of its rights-of-way were counted as parts of the rungs of the ladder that were stated to be what was going to support Clarksburg. There was not going to be mass transit. Many of the people in Clarksburg are traveling to D.C., endpoints from D.C. back north to here. It's difficult. And to only have a choice of 355 and 270, it doesn't work. I'm all the time traveling up Whiteman Road. I always go through Laytonsville to get to other points. There are many things that I do, but this decision can't be made in a vacuum. It's not just a matter of environmental issues or not. That was considered, when this was first approved, as supporting extremely high densities in an area that was originally farmland. If you put the density there and it's already happened, you can't then take away from people the infrastructure that was promised to support them. I read through the TAME information. I don't disagree that there are going to be environmental impacts. There will always be environmental impacts for whatever choice we make, and we could argue them all day long. But they state that leaving this in the plan is going to cause a weakening of the confidence in this agency and other agencies by the people. No, taking it out will cause me to lose more confidence because you've already promised through, not you specifically, but the agency has already said, we will do this to support you. I mean, the baby's already born. Now it's got to be clothed and fed and nurtured. And to take it away is going to cause extreme damage. And I further would say, I don't know if the staff could tell me differently, but all of my friends and folks in Damascus, none of them got a letter about any of this. They don't understand. They're taking it on faith that what they thought happened decades ago, and for me, I've been 2 decades and a few years in Clarksburg, was going to come to pass. So even in the worst case scenario, if you would, how I don't know, but imagine the possibility for removing any of the extensions from the plan, I would say don't do it unless you have commitment by the county and transportation that some alternative method is already funded. Because otherwise, whatever you say on paper means nothing to the people. Unless I see something already being built, taking away this other one piece of infrastructure that we were supposed to have is extremely detrimental. So I don't only ask, I beg that you leave it in there. Leaving it in there doesn't do any damage until when it gets ready to be funded, hey, people come out again in droves, and everyone's always going to argue against new development, especially when it's in their backyard. But you can't keep dismantling the supportive pieces of infrastructure that were supposed to support extremely high density development that is now already there. Thank you for considering that.
Thank you so much, Don Parrish.
"20 years ago, I wrote this report based upon my field work to assess environmental impacts to North Germantown Greenway and Great Seneca Park from M83. Here are a few of my findings and other comments about this special area. M83 would destroy and fragment a large forest tract designated as a biodiversity area by the Park and Planning Commission. This area is recognized as a biodiversity area due to the presence of uncommon and rare species, unusual habitats, and scenic values. In this area, I documented 10 amphibian species, 9 of which depend on wetlands for breeding, including wetlands M83 would destroy. I documented 21 species of forest-dwelling birds, including 11 that are forest interior dependent. 9 of these are neotropical migratory songbirds that depend on large, unbroken forests to maintain viable populations. 9 of these forest birds are listed by Park and Planning by the Commission as bird species of greatest conservation need. I found 4 state rare plants in this area, as well as 48 other plants considered to be uncommon or rare in Montgomery County. These species and their habitats are in jeopardy if M83 is built. These 2 parklands along Dayspring Creek support over 240 species of native plants, including 15 ferns, 5 orchids, and 70 species of trees and shrubs. All of these significant habitats and native biodiversity are entrusted to the Park and Planning Commission to take care of for future generations. Once they're gone forever. To add insult to injury, M83 also invades the agricultural reserve, including the Wildcat Branch watershed, one of the last self-sustaining trout streams left in the county. Please vote to delete M83 once and for all, and stop extending false hope to Up County residents that M83 is somehow the answer to traffic congestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Christelle Bivens.
I just have one question before I start. Is this for the UCAB or is it for me personally?
It's for the UCAB.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So I have 4 minutes?
Correct.
Okay, great. So this is a letter, it's a recommendation to not remove M83 from the master plan of highways and transitways. On behalf of the Up County Citizens Advisory Board, we wrote to County Executive Elrich our recommendation to the Montgomery County Planning Board dated September 10, 2024 to remove proposed but unbuilt sections of Highway M83, Mid-County Highway, from the master plan of highways and transitways. Based on its review of the history of M83 and of the details of the MPOHT 2024 technical update and consideration of input recently received from several community groups, the UCAB strongly urges the county to not remove M83 from the MPOHT. Instead, we recommend the county update its evaluation of the need for this highway in light of significant increases in population, commercial, and residential development, and traffic congestion that has occurred in the Up-County region in recent years. Recognizing the controversy associated with extending M83, UCAB does not make this recommendation lightly. It is based upon several considerations, foremost among which are the following. The MPOHT 2024 technical update is largely silent on the need for and use of arterial roads, focusing most of its attention on local roads and transit. Up-County residents who are familiar with the challenges of traveling between the northern, central, and southern regions of the county note that MPOHT says nothing about local, intercity, or inter-county travel on I-270 and making plans for maintaining and improving local roads, streets, and public transit services. With its focus on livable streets, Vision Zero, carbon emission reductions, and so forth, we are concerned that the MPOHT will make de facto north-south arteries in the Up-County area more congested and less safe for both through and local traffic than they are at present. And we've just listed some arteries that we were specifically talking about. There are numerous ongoing and new development projects underway in the Mid-County area. In the Gaithersburg area alone, they include Lake Forest, Crown, Shady Grove Metro, King Farm, Shady Grove, among other developments in the county. We understand Thrive Montgomery 2050's vision of residents increasingly living, working, and playing in denser, pedestrian-friendly, transit-served communities in the southern half of the county. It is hard to imagine, however, that all this new development will not generate increases in north and south vehicular traffic for years to come, with associated impacts on I-270 and other de facto north-south travel arteries. The details of the MPOHT 2024 technical update seem to suggest that the extension of the Metro's Red Line, the introduction of bus rapid transit service along Maryland 355, and the creation of growth corridor boulevards will be sufficient to support all these additional travelers. However, the timing and nature of such improvements are not detailed in the plan, and funding is not even available for some of them. In the meantime, reliance on overcapacitated local streets and roads will continue to impede the realization of the county's Thrive 2050, Vision Zero, and carbon emission reduction goals. The pattern of spatial development in Mid-County and Up-County regions are such that many residents are unlikely to ever abandon their cars to take a bus to work or a walk to the grocery store. Moreover, we suspect that many of the vehicles traversing the county to reach new office, research, medical, and commercial are from areas north of Montgomery County, where there will be no stops or parking facilities for Montgomery County transit users. In order to access these services, non-residents would need to drive across the county line, find parking at a transit stop that is already close to these destinations, and then take transit for the remaining leg of the journey. Doing so in Up-County areas where Frederick roads run through parts of Gaithersburg and Clarksburg, to say nothing of Hyattstown, it's hard to imagine that BRT could actually be incorporated. For these and other reasons, for instance, the fact that most of the right-of-way for M83 already is owned by the county, and that the county's bicycle master plan includes a proposed bikeway in the M83 right-of-way, we strongly encourage the county to update relevant transportation artery like M83. Please note that this recommendation is consistent with the positions expressed by UCAB in two previous letters.
Excuse me, can you?
Yes.
And you can go on to your personal one.
Okay. Okay, so that was pretty much the letter that we sent. Okay, so for me, so thank you for letting me speak this evening. Please do not remove M83. My name is Crystal Bivens. I'm a resident of Goshen. I experience exponential traffic volume daily down my once rural community road, Brink Road, to the completion of planned development without the planned completion of M83, which was supposed to be built in alignment with planned development. Prior to purchasing my property, I researched this plan at the planning department. I spoke to many employees of the planning department, and I was assured that the county was committed to continuing the build of ICC and the planned M83 extension using the land set aside because it was owned by the county. More importantly, they said, in order for development to occur, according to the plan, M83 would be implemented in tandem with the additional development. The ICC was designed to connect Gaithersburg to Down County and Metro. The BRT was designed to connect Gaithersburg to Down County. What about the cities north of Gaithersburg? Where is our rapid bus transit? Where is our Metro? Where is our return on investment of tax dollars paid that the rest of the county can easily make use of? M83 was a promise to all those residents who purchased homes in my area in Clarksburg for direct egress to down county and inter-county public transit, who pay taxes for these services but do not receive them easily. The promise was broken when the county resolution adopted in 2017 removed M83 from all consideration in future development. This broken promise has forced up-county residents to seek refuge from the horrible traffic-ridden I-270 and 355 to our community roads. We have more than 40,000 new drivers using community roads as the alternative route to down county, road systems that were never intended for this use or purpose. This has caused degradation to our community, reduced property values, our roads, our bridges, our safety, our environment, the pollution, and serious accidents. The council owes us a viable plan on displaced traffic instead of stripping away the only planned alternative egress. Removing 83 would be immoral and indefensible without good reason for an alternative road system and infrastructure using the property set aside in the plan. Thank you.
Good, thank you so much. Next, we'll have Lori Wallace, Lanham, Jason George, Shirik Kamar Patel, R.T. Varanasi, and Praveen Patel. Thank you. Must have a delay to the other room. Yeah, there's a delay. Yeah. I know. So here, you can run to the other room. All right. Yeah, they were. Yeah, okay. So, Laurie Wallace Lanham. Yeah, please, welcome.
Okay. My name is Laurie Wallace Lanham, and I am going to give my summation. M83 will, at current estimates, cost $1.3 billion. Because it is not eligible for federal funding, the cost would need to come out of the county's budget. So much good could be done with $1.3 million. But as high as that cost is, there is an even greater cost. Building this extension would decimate a forest, pollute streams, destroy trails and open spaces, park areas, and our agricultural reserve. It would destroy 100 acres of forest, impact 48 acres of wetlands, and add toxic pollution to the air and our water sources. Trees give us oxygen, but they also filter out those toxic pollutants. Trees also filter our water. Some people say they'll plant some trees. Will the builders plant 20,000 mature trees or even 4,000? Can a baby tree do the job? A few baby trees cannot replace a forest. Montgomery County has over 1 million oxygen-breathing people. We need more trees, not fewer. And I realize we want our transportation, but just as the Canadian wildfires affected our air quality, so too will M83's construction. Road transport is a major pollutant of air and groundwater and adds many toxins to our air and water in the Potomac River watershed. And black asphalt surfaces increase heat forming heat islands and heat corridors. Trees also lower temperatures from the shade and their respiration of air. Why put money into something so harmful to our environment? Lastly, public officials have an obligation to select the least harmful alternatives for our health and environment. So please take it out. Take it out. I understand everybody wants their roots, but as Joni Mitchell said, you find paradise and you put up a parking lot.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Next is Jason George.
Before I begin my testimony, I just want to make clear I'm here on behalf of myself and not any organization. And with that, I'll start. I wanted to thank the Planning Commission for holding a meeting in Germantown in the Up County. I really think that you guys need to come up here a lot more often, especially on issues that affect the Up County or on countywide issues, to have a formal planning hearing and take testimony. Getting to the substance of my testimony, there are three things that the Up County needs from the Master Plan of Highways to alleviate traffic. One is more jobs in the Up County. The second is telework and remote work. and to have a plan for the county government to advocate on behalf of residents to major employers, both in the public and private sectors, for expanded telework and remote work. And the third thing is additional public transportation resources. That means in the Up County, because we're here in Germantown, this is the urban part of the Up County. From here, it gets suburban real quick, and right after, it gets rural. So we need roads, too, because what taking public transportation for a commute means here means getting in your car, driving a couple miles to some place where you can take public transportation. So no one's taking a bus to Mark or to Shady Grove, because that's the reality. And also, a last thing, we do need more roads. We need an additional lane on 270. We need Observation Drive extended, and we need M83 built and to remain in the master plan. What you're doing if you remove it is you're condemning people my age, people in my community, and I'm from Germantown, northern Germantown, to spending their working life, their evenings, their mornings on I-270 stuck in traffic. That is what you're doing. That means missed soccer games, missed birthdays, missed PTA meetings, missed time with your children, missed time with your parents, missed letting other responsibilities fall through for caretaking. That's the reality in Napa County. It's much more difficult to live, work, and commute here than it is in the Down County, and that needs to be understood by this board and by the county government, and it very rarely is, if ever. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Chirek Kubar.
Thank you, everyone, for giving me an opportunity to speak in this forum. I know a lot of people before me has covered the point why we need to keep M83 as per plan. I wanted to highlight few of the points. Okay, there are about more than 4,000 homes built in Clarksburg community itself. These homes and the homeowners, whoever have purchased this home, was keeping in mind that M83 is there in the transportation plan. There are a lot of folks in my community who are traveling to work to go to Bethesda, Rockville, Virginia, DC. For me, myself, I commute to work to Tyson's. Okay, it takes me 2 hours to get to work and 2 hours to commute back. It takes me 45 minutes from moving from Clarksburg to get to exit 8. Okay, that's too much of traffic that is getting built up on 270. Okay, I do normally take sometimes 355 to get off the traffic, but it's still, there is a lot of traffic to get till exit 8. A lot of my friends who has moved out of this community just to move to Virginia because of this major problem of the road traffic. I would recommend that, you know, to keep M83 as it was in the plan when we purchased the home. Okay, I would request the county to keep that in the plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. R.T. Varanasi.
So good evening, members of the Planning Board. I am Arthi Varanasi and current resident of Clarksburg. I'm here today to offer my strongest support for keeping M83 in the master plan. This project has been a part of the master plan since 1960 and should remain a part of the master plan. I moved to Maryland from North Carolina 25 years ago as a postdoctoral fellow at the NIH. After living in Bethesda in a rent-controlled apartment for a few years, I bought my first home in Germantown. A few years later, as a new couple, we decided to purchase a home in Aurora Hills, a new development in Clarksburg. A huge factor in our decision to purchase our home was a promise of growth and connectivity to other areas in the DMV. This promise has not been realized. Similar to the previous speaker, my husband travels 2 to 2.5 hours every day one way to go to his job in Washington, D.C. That is a lot of missed opportunities with family time and time that could be spent doing something else. That is not a quality of life, and it is not an equitable solution. This connectivity that I speak about was offered through a future M83. It is not acceptable to sit in gridlock traffic when going on I-270 or 355. I believe that the M83 project is an essential investment that will significantly improve travel times for thousands of drivers. It will ease the flow of traffic between up county and down county. This will make it easier for families to travel, businesses to thrive, and for people to access vital services. I recognize that there is opposition, but I urge those individuals and organizations who are opposed to walk in our shoes, to experience our traffic, and to understand the feelings of not being heard. At this critical moment, I strongly urge the members of the Planning Board to support the up-county residents and keep M83 in the master plan. This is a critical investment, and I urge you to take the time to consider our request and for your consideration. Thank you for making our community safer, our community stronger, and our futures brighter with this consideration.
Thank you so much. Praveen Patel.
Good evening, members of the Montgomery County Planning Board. My name is Praveen Patel, and I live in Clarksburg Village, one of the up-county areas actually which will be mostly impacted by the decisions that we are talking about today. I'm here to strongly oppose the removal of M83, the extender, in fact, that will be helping us, in fact, connect to Shady Grove Metro. Let me make it a bit personal. I think, like my other friends, I think, mentioned over here, I also work in Washington, D.C. And Metro, I think, the Metro, I think, from Shady Grove, I think, is the most efficient, I think, and the environment-friendly option that we have got. Getting to Metro, which is, I think, which is supposed to be a 15 to 20-minute ride, takes, I think, more than an hour for us to reach there. This is very valuable time that actually we would be looking into spending with our families instead of trying to get stuck, I think, in traffic and with the gridlocks that we have right now going on. The completion of M83 would cut the travel time actually to less than 20 minutes, I think, and we strongly urge that. Removing M83 actually would mean, I think, that you'll be breaking the promises, in fact, that you have made, in fact, I think, and without a vital connectivity from the north-south alternative to 270. I would also deeply, I think, in terms of the inequity between the up-county residents and the other part of the Montgomery County, which would benefit from much more robust infrastructure that we have got today. Why should families in Clarksburg, I think, and Germantown endure longer commutes, more stress, and fewer transportation options? So on behalf of the 150,000 residents who live, I think, in the Germantown, Damascus, I think, and the Clarksburg area, I urge you to keep M83 in the master plan of the highways and transitways. This project is essential to improving, I think, our mobility, supporting the environment, and also respecting, in fact, the commitments, in fact, that the planning board has made to us, to the up-county community members. Let's do what's right, in fact, for the future of our community. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you so much. We'll take our next group, Sarar Faraz, Orlando Guevara Jr., Dinesh Palavet Vitil, Thomas Quinn, and Sasi Kumar Vimalam. You can start, Mr. Savar Faraz.
Thank you very much, Planning Board, for coming here. I hope you will come here more often. We feel totally disconnected from the rest of the county, so we really appreciate you coming over.
Thank you.
I would like to start off by saying that M83 was included in the Clarksburg Master Plan way back in the 1950s and 60s when there was only forests and nothing else here. This was part of the master plan. It was an integral part of how Clarksburg was going to be developed. M83 is a multimodal right-of-way. It is not just for automobiles. There was a BRT that was planned for M83, Route 23. We are told there's an alternative to M83, which is the BRT along 355. BRT along 355 is not rapid. It is a narrow lanes, it is too many stops, whereas M83 is rapid. So we already have a viable solution for BRT on M83 itself. M83 requires about 5.6 miles of road to be built. The rest of M83 is already there. So we are just connecting the dots. We are not building the entire road, and it is not going to cost $1.3, $1.8 billion. I don't know where this number is coming from. Please don't listen to these false narratives. The current population of M83, of Clarksburg, is now around 40,000. The current population of Germantown is 100,000. If you add other communities, We're talking about 150, 200,000 people that now live in Up County. That's a lot of people that you're not going to be serving by taking M83 away. Let's take a look at the economy. Montgomery County used to be the jewel in the crown in this area, in this region. It had the strongest economy. I'm going to read you some numbers from the Bureau of Statistics, the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis. Real from 2017 to 2022. Real per capita GDP growth, the number one place was Fairfax County, 21.6%. Montgomery County was second to last, 0.4%. The real GDP was Loudoun County. From 2017 to 2022, Loudoun County, 25.9%. Montgomery County, 0.2%, second to last. Talk about population growth. Population growth, number one, Frederick County was 12%. Montgomery County, negative 0.2%. There's a negative population growth, and the population growth that we do incur, the higher earning population is moving out, lower earning population is moving in. This is impacting the economy of this county. This county needs infrastructure. It needs economic vibrancy. We need you all to understand that. By shutting down these type of activities, transportation, you're really hurting the economy of this county. Now let's talk about all the communities that were developed. No, I have 4 minutes.
It was a mistake, ma'am. He had 4 minutes.
I have 4 minutes.
Because he's representing the HOA. Okay,
some of the communities here that are right here were promised.
So you have 1 more minute, okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Some of the communities that were built in Clarksburg were promised M83 and included in them. The planning board included M83 when approving these communities. Clarksburg Village is the largest HOA in Montgomery County, 4,400 homes. Next to it, Aurora Hills, 1,300 homes. Clarksburg Town Center, 1,100 homes. Cabin Branch, 750 and growing. That's a lot of homes that have been approved with M83 being part of the solution. And now, after that, we're talking about removing M83. Every new house that is developed in Montgomery County pays a development impact tax, approximately 20%. That 20% gets added to the cost of the house that the purchaser is paying. The developer doesn't pay out of their pocket, they just pass it on to the homeowner who's buying the house. That 20% has been paid for public schools, for transportation, for infrastructure. All that has to happen with that tax. Now that these homes have been built and everybody has paid the tax, we're talking of removing M83, which should have been covered by those impact taxes. Will you be refunding that money to the homeowners?
Sir, your 4 minutes is up, but we get what you're saying, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. And you provide, I'm sure you provided the written testimony too, so
yeah,
we've got it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Mr. Guevara Jr.
Hello, Planning Board members. Thank you for having me today. I live in Silver Spring, but I travel north to Germantown to hike and bike on a Seneca Creek Trail. I've watched this county destroy countless acres of trees, and I'm only 21. And it's really sad that I'm not able to visit a lot of my favorite parks anymore because they're being destroyed because we want to have more convenient route travel. A lot of these people are commuting to D.C. for their commutes to work. There's plenty of metro. I've taken the metro when I was 14 years old to get to work. It took me an hour and a half, but I wasn't complaining. Taking public transportation isn't as difficult as building a brand new road that destroys countless acres of trees. Was it 5 miles? Lowering property values of other people in that area because they want to maintain their property value. It is unfair for everybody, regardless what decision you make. You got to think about the future generation. As everyone says, these young people don't go outside anymore. They want to stay on their phones. There's nothing in Montgomery County for us to explore. We have Lake Needwood, as small as it is, we have that one. But if I want to see a real park, I have to go all the way to Frederick County. Why are we so focused on hyper-urbanization of our city and our county? That's going to keep growing more and more. It's going to slow down. That's a part of life. Time management is what life is. You plan around your trips. It takes me a half hour to travel 7 miles. Oh, I plan my day around that. It's a matter of finding your way around. You lived here long enough, you find different ways than just taking the main highways. Everyone's taking the highways to shorten their time when it shouldn't be like that. It should be understanding that that's congested. I'll go a different way. You shouldn't take the highway to go 5 minutes because the trip is shorter by 5 minutes if you take that. It really makes no sense for people to continue pushing these roads to be built to slow down more areas of Montgomery County.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. So next is Malavitil.
Mr. Chairman and Planning Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity to testify regarding M83. My name is Dinesh Malavitil. I've been a resident of Clarksburg since 2020 and a 10-year resident of Montgomery County. I'm here today to demand that M83 remain in the master plan, and along with the inclusion of viable public transportation, be used to provide the residents of Up County with the multimodal transportation network it so greatly deserves. When referencing the needs of the growing diverse community, the Planning Board's own 2024 to 2028 Growth and Infrastructure Policy states that housing must be accessible to jobs and other amenities through timely public infrastructure that also helps attract economic development. Since its conception in the late 1960s, that's exactly what M83 was designed to do, to support the needs of Up County residents and encourage much-needed commercial development. It was understood then, and for over 50 years used by the county and approving communities along its planned corridor. To take it away now is nothing short of negligence. To put it into perspective, consider life without arterial corridors such as Montgomery Village Avenue, Shady Grove Road, and the existing Mid-County Highway. Would you welcome the inability to effectively access your home, work, coalition meetings, and planning board hearings? Or the loss of economic development such as the Lake Forest Project, world-class healthcare, and biotech careers? How about delays in receiving emergency services? Per the American Red Cross, survival chances from cardiac arrest decrease by 10% for every minute that immediate CPR and AED use is delayed, meaning a delay of just 10 minutes can literally be the difference between life and death. One of the many sad parts of this hearing is that it's not promising us that M83 will be built. It could be another 50 years before that happens. But what it does provide for our Up County residents, particularly those in Clarksburg, is an opportunity to continue to stand in the proverbial political line of hope that one day, just one day, our growing community will receive the respect it deserves. You enjoy our outlets, you enjoy our regional parks, and you certainly enjoy our tax dollars. So let us continue to enjoy the hopes of what you promised us decades ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas Quinn.
Good evening. My name is Tom Quinn. Thank you for this opportunity. I'll begin by saying that I'm solidly opposed to extending the M83. I currently live in Clarksburg Village. I used to live in Gaithersburg. Many years ago, I lived in down in Silver Spring. I am a hospice nurse. I travel all over the county. So I know the county. I know Up County, I know Down County, I know the roads. I know that there's congestion. I get stuck in it from time to time. But I think the idea of M83 back in the 1960s was overpromised, oversold. The few minutes, we're only talking about a few minutes saved by using the an M83 idea, but the cost is way too high. The $1.3 billion, by the way, that came from their website. The highway was conceived at a different time, economically, philosophically, and environmentally, at a time when the words growth and development had a religious connotation almost. That kind of growth, that kind of highway building has been exposed as mindless destruction of neighborhoods, woodlands, waterways, and wildlife. We need a well-being economy, not an economy that's synonymous with destruction. As shown on the planning board's published maps, the majority of the highway would be cut through or encroach on designated parklands, creeks, wetlands, recreation trails, and the agricultural reserve. That's the majority. The proposed highway will continue a pattern of chipping away at the ag reserve, an environmental and cultural jewel that needs protection, not devastation. These are precious resources that will be sacrificed forever for a few, I'm sorry to offend some people, a few measly minutes of convenience at the cost of well over $1 billion. The environmental costs are incalculable. It will do irreparable damage to trails, streams, wetlands, and the plant and animal habitats. Assuming this project is not approved, any public undeveloped rights of way that were not reserved for trails or bike paths should be reserved for undisturbed natural areas. I'll stop there.
Thank you so much. So, the next is Sasik Kumar Vimalan.
Hello, Planning County Board members. Thank you for allowing me to say a few words here. I'm here as an individual. I wanted to just say I wanted to support keeping M83. Mm-hmm. The reason I'm here is it's pain. You know, I live in Clarksburg, almost like 12 plus years, and my wife commutes to DC, and she has to take a car to either the railway station or to Shady Grove Metro, and then take another train, like a couple of trains to get to DC. Right now, there is no easy way to commute to the train station. So I think as Clarksburg residents, we feel betrayed that we felt that we needed this, the highway that connects to other parts of the county. And my wife, she's always stressed traveling, like she has been working in DC for about 10 plus years now. I mean, you all know, right? Like happy wife, happy life. And so that's not there right now. It's very stressed. And secondly, change is inevitable. Change is tough. This country is built on, roadworks, and all the good things we did is through railways and all that stuff. So I think this is in the bigger perspective, this is not such a huge project. And it will alleviate a lot of pain that our residents face, Damascus and Clarksburg. So I'd say, make the change and, resolve all people's problem in where we live. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll take the next group. It's Natan Raul, Nilesh Raul, Benjamin Ross, Dayal Keju, and Maurice Miles. Your name, sir?
Nilesh Rao.
Okay, why don't you start, sir?
Hello, my name is Nilesh Rao. Thank you for listening to me. So I support M83. Like, I am a Clarksburg resident, and the reason I support it is because of the commute time that I and my wife incur when we go to DC. I work in the DC federal government agencies, supports federal government agencies. So for me to commute to DC, I have to literally drive either by 355 or by 270 to get to Shady Grove Station, and then I have to take multiple trains. But as you can see, and if you heard from other members over here, that it takes nearly 45 minutes to 1 hour just to get to the Shady Grove Station because we have so much roadblock across 355 as well as 270. So I really incur or kind of request you for county folks to keep the M83 as a viable option for commuters like us who live in Clarksburg and who were really promised with this option that was going to come in the future, which is the M83. So please don't take it away from us. And I understand the environmental impact that everyone is talking about, but if you have allowed the up-county people or housing to be built, then you also have to have infrastructure in place to support us to live over there. And not have, and if you see over here, like if you heard about some of the members saying about transportation, if you have to even go to Shady Grove Hospital, it takes a while to reach the hospital because that's a major hospital in our area and we can't even get to that. And if there's something like an emergency, like a cardiac arrest, every minute counts. So please do not take the M83 option away from us. Thank you.
Thank you. And Natul?
Hello. My name is Nutan Raul. I'm here in support of M83. We moved in Clarksburg in 2012. I work in Gaithersburg. Initially, when we moved, commute to my work was like breeze. We used to have a young kid. So going to the parent-teacher meetings or any activities where I need to take my kid, I never have to think about whether I will reach there on time or not. Over the years, there were a lot of houses built in Clarksburg or up county. The traffic started increasing on 270. Slowly, I started opting 355 because 270 always used to be back. Then 355 also started having the same issue. I started working from home in the morning and going late to work. I think that's not a viable solution to the people who are living in this area. We need a proper kind of solution, which county has promised. So I think M83 will really solve major issues. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming. Richard Parsons, today. Or Sasa Kamur, is it? Okay, let's see. Okay, let me go here. Yep, Benjamin Ross.
Good evening. I'm Ben Ross. I'm speaking as an individual tonight. And what I want to say is that all night we've been hearing one main argument in favor of keeping M83, which is that it will relieve traffic congestion. That's wrong. M83 will not relieve traffic congestion. There's abundant evidence from studies and experience, including when I-270 was widened in the 1990s, that widening roads in congested urban areas or suburban areas does not relieve traffic congestion. And you don't have to take it from me. You can take it from the United States Department of Transportation. 2 weeks ago, they released a report which recommends that in any model to predict traffic, you should assume that if you increase the number of lane miles in the area by a certain percentage, the number of miles driven will increase by the same percentage as a result. And I have a link to that report in my written testimony. And in my written testimony, I also discussed the traffic model that our first speaker spoke about and explain why that kind of traffic model cannot tell you whether there will be congestion relief. It assumes that there will or will not be traffic relief, and the model assumes that there will be. It doesn't conclude, it assumes. So the answer is this will not relieve traffic congestion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next is Dial Kaju.
Good evening. My name is Dial Keju.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity. I have proudly owned a home in Montgomery Village for 21 years. I've seen the M83 alignment on county documents, and I'm here to support for its removal from the master plan because it could harm both our environment and our people. Growing up, I witnessed the displacement of communities, the loss of cultural heritage, and the health challenges that persist across generations. The M83 alignment feels like a reminder of those experiences. That's because the tragic history of the community I speak of is rooted in man-made ideologies that evolved into policies that rule and harm. We have an opportunity tonight to plan and design communities that avoid environmental destruction and physical displacement. M83 doesn't provide solutions, it takes away. Montgomery Village, where I currently live, is a diverse community of hardworking people. Many live in smaller homes with little or no yard space. Our community thrives on interconnection and creativity, not highways. Rather than asphalt, the M83 land tract should be preserved as a natural space with innovative transit solution that meets the need of the 21st century. I've seen firsthand how climate change displaces communities. Some of the islands I grew up in have been washed away by rising sea tides and saltwater floods. Climate change, yet another man-made force, is real. M83, the ideas behind of it are also real. M83, to me, is another man-made destruction force we must avoid. Thankfully, tonight, we can make smart choices. Please remove M83 from the master plan of highways and transitways. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next is Maurice Miles.
Good evening. I'm Maurice Miles. I've probably lived in this county longer than anybody in this building. I've lived here for 92 plus years. I'm here today to speak for Dayspring Church in Germantown. My wife and I have been members of Dayspring Church home for 40 plus years. We were attracted to this beautiful ecumenical place with landscape of beautiful ponds, trees, paths, and wildlife that remind us of God's creation. That is why I'm fighting to keep Dayspring and the adjacent forest intact. We have found a home in this place, and we will stay here until our time is over. If this place was taken, it would be taken part of my home. I became involved in Montgomery County politics way back in the 60s as a parent co-chairman under the Title I program. Later, I was appointed to the Montgomery County Central Committee and then elected for a total of 8 years on the State Committee, which included being appointed to the Maryland State Central Committee. I was also a precinct chairman for State District 39 in Goshen. After being involved in politics and helping candidates through their campaigns, I was encouraged to become a candidate for State Senate in 2001. And so I threw my hat in the ring. I gave them a good run for their money. Also in the 1960s, Montgomery County made a decision to join in the movement of urban renewal. I've corrected that word to urban removal. The story was told in Emerald Grove was not true. Communities became divided under the pretense of better quality of life. We were promised we could come back, but we couldn't afford it. The kind of decision-making continues today, and here we are talking about M83 highway. Citizens have to be told that M83 will benefit them. That's what keeps M83 in the plan. The road will financially benefit the construction companies who will bulldoze through the poor and low-income neighborhoods and cut down and destroy all the beauty in the forest on Dayspring. I've said many times, and will continue to say, that all politics is local, meaning that we must understand that what goes on in our community is something you must live with every day. Your quality of life and pursuit of happiness depends on where we stand on the political ladder. Some say they don't want to be involved in politics. Are you telling me then that you are not concerned about your water quality? Are you telling me you're not concerned about your infrastructure? Are you telling me you're not concerned about your health care needs, your education needs, your criminal justice systems? Politics, whether you like it or not, play a major role in our daily lives. To me, that earth-crushing M83 highway will be devastating, life quality changing, a disaster. It needs to be removed from the master plans of highways and transitways. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll have our next group. Our next group consists of Richard Parsons, Caroline Taylor, Brian Ditzler, Leire Okusanya, Ann Terry Okusanya.
Mr. Chairman, I had signed up, I thought first, that was Suburban Maryland Transportation Alliance. Before I get started, I was expecting that we would do this.
Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah, please. Why don't you say your name and who you're representing?
Okay, Richard Parsons, and I'm Vice Chair of the Suburban Maryland Transportation Alliance and a resident of Durwood. And I want to say a couple things. I've got a much more detailed written set of comments from our organization to all of you that's coming shortly that goes into a great deal of detail, but I did want to summarize a couple of points for why we need to keep M83 in the master plan. First of all, it's a key element of the transportation network that was designed for the 270 corridor. As you all know, part of that plan was to have two lateral arterials, one for the east side, one for the west side. The west side of the lateral arterial system, the Great Seneca Highway, was built years ago and has been a huge success. It facilitated tremendous growth in the bioscience industry and led to award-winning smart growth developments like Kentlands and Lakelands, which never could have been permitted or allowed without it. Can you hear me now? Sorry about that. And I've got a little laryngitis as well, so bear with me. So removal of the eastern arterial, now that we've already built the one on the western side, the more relatively affluent areas west of I-270, removing or thinking of removing the eastern lateral arterial raises significant equity issues. The west side has gotten their lateral arterial to facilitate economic growth, job creation, and access and congestion relief for the people there, which it definitely did deliver. And yet here we are sitting in communities from Durwood to Clarksburg on the east side of the county where there's a more diverse, lower income, more working class population. We're still sitting here decades later waiting for our lateral arterial that was promised. So as a major part of the plan, my comments in writing go into this in more detail, but we really need to stick to that plan for equity reasons, if for nothing else. Second, M83 is the only viable opportunity to increase mobility and access in this corridor. A lot of talk that you've heard here tonight and elsewhere about transit alternatives like extending the Red Line or the MARC extension or improving MARC service on the Brunswick line. These don't actually serve residents of Goshen. They don't relieve intersection congestion in these areas. I've been part of many of the studies that have looked at the 270 corridor over the last 20 years. And if you want to talk about unrealistic promises, I will bet anyone in this room $1,000 right here, Red Line extension beyond Shady Grove will never happen. There's a bunch of reasons we go into in our written testimony as to why that's the case, but it will never qualify for cost effectiveness standards that it would have to meet for federal funding, and without federal funding, there's zero chance it'll ever get built given Maryland's financial straits. So some of these promises that you're hearing about so-called transit alternatives don't actually do the job of improving conditions in the area we're talking about here tonight, and they're extremely unrealistic, certainly between now and 2050. Third point, the county's 2017 study underscored the need for the M83 and found that even if you did 355 bus rapid transit, you'd still need to do M83, and there was independent utility for both projects. That's the main finding of that study. However, that study was deeply flawed in a couple of ways and really needs a revisiting before you make any decision at all about M83. First, the alternatives studied were not balanced or relevant to today's best thinking. One of the earlier speakers mentioned the idea of running BRT on Mid-County Highway itself directly to the ICC from Clarksburg. That option wasn't even on the table or part of the study. The transit assumptions were all based on 2015 transit ridership data, vastly out of date now that transit ridership has dropped 40 to 50%. All those transit assumptions need to be redone and revisited. It was too focused on the wrong metrics, looking at things like VMT reduction, which has nothing to do with moving people and improving intersection performance. You have to do much more focus on access to jobs and housing and travel time studies. Finally, it didn't properly address the impact of the city of Gaithersburg's plans for Lake Forest Mall and the county fairgrounds. So there's a better way forward, and I think that requires that you leave the project in the master plan for now and then relaunch another study to look at these factors. The written testimony goes into this in a lot more detail.
Great.
And I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. We'll have Caroline Taylor.
Good evening. I'm Caroline Taylor from Montgomery Countryside Alliance. And I want to, first of all, hark back to someone earlier who thanked you all for coming up here and saying we'd like to see you more often up here. I also want to say that I've listened with great interest and respect for the varying viewpoints this evening. You're hearing from real people with real concerns about places that they need to get to and the time that they need to get there. You're hearing from real people about real concerns about our environment and our sustainability. You're hearing about climate change. You're hearing about whether or not these traffic solutions, these transportation solutions from the 1960s will deliver their promises today. And these are legitimate points, all of them. MCA, however, wants to say that we support the removal of this project for the following primary reason, and that is I would like for our county to be putting their effort into solutions for a community or communities who've been given the short end of the stick and not relying on an antiquated project that will not deliver what they need to have delivered. I feel if you keep it in the master plan, we continue to view it as a solution, which it is not. And what we know now, the evolution of our understanding of transportation solutions is far different than what we knew in 1960. I hear the people of Clarksburg and Laytonsville and the other communities represented tonight, and their concerns are real. I also have great respect and was moved by Pratherton and others who spoke tonight about their communities and their vitality, their continued vitality. I think the planning board has a lot before it in making this decision, but I think that we are in a place now where we have a greater understanding of how transportation works best in terms of supporting its communities. And I really thank you for your time this evening. I know that we have many people, and so I don't want to take any more time, so thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll have Ms. Lanre Okasanya.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity to testify here today. My name is Lanre Okasanya. I have been a resident of Carving Branch in Clarksburg, Boyd's, for 15 years now, and I think that we need to keep M83 in the master plan. Although technically I am a newcomer to the Clarksburg area, traffic as we know it has only gotten worse. One of the reasons is because this area is constantly growing, which is great. The traffic was bad before the pandemic, and now it's even gotten worse, partly because of growth and partly because our transit infrastructure leaves a lot to be desired. It is really, really hard to be car-free in Clarksburg. Now, we've had a lot of changes in the Clarksburg master plan to support more housing being built, and which is great. In fact, I think last week or so we had a hearing about 101 new homes being built in the Clarksburg area. And like me, many of the people that would purchase those homes will not always work from home all the time. They will need to go to the office. They will need to go down to DC, Silver Spring, Gaithersburg, Rockville, and they will all cause congestion on 270, both going to work and coming back home. Now, we would like more homes in Montgomery County because there is a need for that. But one thing that we also need is a good way to get around. And because of that, we need, good transit, which include buses. And the buses that we have, they are slow, they're infrequent, and they constantly get stuck in traffic. Hopefully with the keeping the M83, we will have the option to have, plan for bus lanes that will make it easier or more faster to be able to get to, key transportation hubs where we can actually get to work on time. And it's important to note that the next generation is also affected by this. We have kids that want to participate in magnet programs in Down County, like Argyle, Loyderman, and many can't because they'll be on the school bus for over an hour or have to leave home at 6:30 a.m. Just to get to school on time because their buses may be stuck in traffic. In addition, it makes it very difficult for college students that want to stay home and go to school to get to college. And because of that,
Excuse me, sir, can you? Okay.
Removing M83 removes a key pillar that gives the planning board more avenues to relieve congestion in Up County, and it's important for you to keep your options open. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I feel, is this your son,
Yes.
Timmy? Yeah. Timmy, yeah, Timmy, can you announce your name and then you can begin, please?
My name is Temi Okisanya. I'm a resident of Cabin Branch. I attend Arga Middle School and I am 11 years old. The transportation in Up County isn't very reliable. There are buses that are stuck in rush hour traffic on 270, and the MARC trains that barely serve communities such as Clarksburg and Damascus, along with the Washington Metro, which doesn't go into Up County at all. And it only makes it worse that there's traffic on 270. So commuters to areas such as Gaithersburg, Rockville, Bethesda, and Silver Spring, and Washington, D.C.
Can you speak up a little louder, please?
Which spreads the traffic to adjacent roads like the D55. The M83 could be a solution in the meantime while we develop future public transportation options. Spreading out traffic between 3 adjacent routes will relieve the commuter traffic towards Washington on 270. If it also has dedicated bus lanes, ride-on buses can drive on it, improving the public transportation. This is why I think the M83 should be kept in the master plan. I'm Temi Okisanya, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Timmy. And last, we have Mr. Bobby Sonora. Okay. No, did you? I'm sorry, your name's Brian Ditzler. Yes, please.
My name is Brian Ditzler, a Montgomery County resident and quite concerned about ever-increasing air pollution and its many adverse effects on human health and our environment. The transportation sector is the largest contributor to climate-damaging greenhouse gas emissions in our state, with 82% of those emissions coming from gasoline and diesel-powered vehicles on our roads. Harmful air pollution from vehicles also contributes to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, cancer, and premature death. Contrary to popular belief, as Mr. Ross said before me, studies now show that building and expanding highways does not solve congestion because it attracts more drivers. The increase in drivers inevitably results in even more air pollution. Greater investment in transit, biking, and pedestrian infrastructure versus highways not only reduces air pollution, it is much more equitable because it serves the many residents who don't own or have access to a vehicle, while enabling more people with cars to rely instead on transit. As previous speakers have already noted, there are a number of good transit alternatives to M83 Extended. According to the American Public Transit Association, for every $1 invested in public transportation, approximately $4 is generated in local economic returns, such as revitalizing neighborhoods around stations and construction of more transit-oriented development, including more affordable housing. Public transit is also a key factor in business site selection and advancing the region's economic development goals. The proposed M83 highway extended does not make sense economically or environmentally, as many speakers have already explained. Montgomery County's 2021 Climate Action Plan recommends that public transit be expanded, major new road construction be limited, and that our tree canopy be retained and increased. Please remove M83 Extended from the county's master plans and support expanding transit alternatives.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So we'll do our next 5. What I believe are Alan Lopez. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh. Okay. 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 Thank you. Okay. Just okay. Every name. Okay. So, is Henry Wu here? Henry? Okay, great. And we said Alan Lopez, Amy Moffitt. Is Amy here? Renat Gayazu. Just trying to go through. Is it Manoz Balakrishnan?
What number are you up to?
Well, right now I'm up to, I'm on 35, Bobby Sonora.
You're up to 35?
Yeah, I'm at 38, Bing, Garth Wright.
38.
Yeah, please sit.
Okay.
Donna Pfeiffer. Mike Conroy. Sir, what are your name? Yeah, please. Okay. Let's get Amy Lopez. Wait. Okay, so why don't you start? You can announce your name.
Good evening. I'm Donna Pfeiffer. I grew up in the Air Force, moving constantly, never imagining that I'd have one place to call home for more than a few years. But Clarksburg changed that. This incredible, caring community won me over. My husband and I have been proud to raise our family here. Over the years, I've been deeply involved in Clarksburg through the PTA, our civic association, and serving on the Clarksburg Baseball Board. Proud field coordinator for 14 years. I've witnessed our town grow from a population of just 1,300 to over 35,000 and still growing. As a realtor, I reviewed the master plan before we purchased our home to understand how infrastructure would support this incredible transformation. What was once a community surrounded by cornfields is now home to some of the largest HOAs in the county. But here's the problem. While housing permits have been granted for decades, the road infrastructure promised in the master plan has not been built. M83 is the missing link, the backbone needed to manage our growth. After decades of development, how can the county say, just kidding, and remove M83 from the master plan? In 2017, resolution excusing the planning office from considering M83 doesn't excuse the county from addressing our infrastructure needs. Until we have more up-county employment opportunities, commuting down county and to DC and to Virginia remains our reality. Simply adding a couple of buses on 355 won't solve the congestion and connectivity issues that we face. We're pleading with you. Please do not remove the missing 5.6-mile master plan alignment. We get that the powers that be are not building it now, but don't eliminate the option for our future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, sir. Just announce your name and then you can.
Yes, Bobby Sonora. I'm a resident of Gaithersburg. I've been living in Montgomery County my whole life. I'm going to make myself clear. I am voting to remove M83 from the master plan. I wasn't really, I was like everybody else. I actually came from Lower County. I was raised in Wheaton, and I saw things change, population growth and things like that. And I heard a lot of the people talk. I understand where the people are coming from Upper County. However, I was made aware of a lot of the beauty and the environmental diversity by Tame. And I was living behind a very beautiful stream, a stream area with it's like a little river, and there's deer. I get to see deer, all kinds of owls and bats, things that I hear about, I see on National Geographic, or things that they say exist in Maryland, but you never really see it. And then when I moved there and I open up I go out on the balcony and just the air comes in from the wintertime. I see little foxes running back there in their little foxhole, the groundhogs, just all that stuff. It's this is Montgomery County. This is not, this is something that makes me appreciate Montgomery County. And there's also a stinging nettle and things like that. It's like taking hikes. I just been made aware of all that natural beauty, and also the whetstone area and the turtles and all the different wildlife back there. I have more of an appreciation for it now, and I'm very grateful to Tame. I saw so many beautiful places in Montgomery County that are outside of the malls and the shopping centers and stuff like that. So I definitely understand how people want to get to and from work and they want to spend time with their families. But there's also wildlife that, you know, will no longer exist if this lane is constructed. So thank you for hearing me.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Next, sir, why don't you say your name and present?
I am listed as Bing Garthright. On my testimony, I used my formal name, Wallace Garthright. I want to thank you, members of the Planning Board. I agree with the County Council's many continued decisions not to build M83. But tonight I want to make just 2 points about why you should remove it from the Master Plan of Highways and Transitways. When I was awarded a PhD in mathematics, I began 20 years of building mathematical models. My more experienced colleagues shocked me with the following advice: never fall in love with your model. Models give focus and great help to the following engineering studies, but those studies often show a different best alternative. That happened in 2017, by the way. I think some former staff did fall in love with the transportation model. They never gave other alternatives a fair shake. That's why M83 is still in the plan. Since the council will not build it because of impacts, benefits, alternatives, and cost, what harm is there with leaving it in the plan? Having M83 in the plan is misleading home buyers. It's misleading home buyers. Resident testimony, including tonight, show that salespeople and neighbors have painted unrealistic pictures of easy commutes. Home buyers don't know the county council decisions for the past 32 years show that M83 will not be built. The bridge where Watkins Mill Road crosses the M83 right away, the little park there. Many other council decisions have shown it. In fact, in 2017, a council resolution said no plans could rely on M83 being built. The current and previous county executives have both imposed it. Removing it from the master plan will stop misleading our home buyers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next.
Good evening, everyone. I'm listed as Alan Lopez. I'm here today as an individual speaking with you tonight about being against M83. It was a relief to know that M83 was removed from the master plan and saddened to know as being relisted again. We are strongly against polluting our beautiful community in the name of opening new roads and shortened travel distances. My house will be directly impacted by this road, as it will only be feet away from the proposed road. My neighbor here has mentioned it is true. When you open the windows of your house, you see the foxes and the owls and the National Geographic type of animals, which it's if you're having a rough day, it's a joy to see that they're still around, even though we have houses around here. We are awakened by birds singing and in the quietness that the forest brings to us in our home. I can only imagine how awful the noise of cars and traffic will be nearby. We live in one of the most beautiful states in the country, and more people are finding out and moving in by the masses. Although we welcome everyone, we don't want it to happen. We don't want it to happen at the expense of destroying the little available green that we have to enjoy. We're going to be affected because our public system is so useless, citizens opt to use their own vehicles. 90% of cars out there are driven with 3 empty seats, majority of the time. It is not the first time that we all hear that the United States system, public system, needs a reform. It needs to be updated badly. Please consider taking out M83 once and for all, and let us continue to enjoy our quiet communities, which have become more and more rare. Thank you very much. You my time.
Thank you so much.
Mike Conroy from Montgomery Village Foundation. I believe there should be 4. Thank you. Good evening, Planning Board Chair Harris and Planning Board Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to speak this evening on the technical update to the Master Plan of Highways and Transitways, specifically the question we're all here about, recommendation to retain or remove Mid-County Highway Extended, M83, from the plan. My name is Mike Conroy, and I'm the Executive Vice President for Montgomery Village Foundation, the large-scale homeowners association that governs the planned community of Montgomery Village. Tonight, I represent our board of directors and the residents of Montgomery Village. In November, you heard from one of our board of director members, Brandon Coffey Borden, and tonight I echo that testimony and present a few additional points reaffirming MVF's position and request for the removal of M83 from the Master Plan of Highways and Transitways. As noted in November, MVF has been long opposed to the construction of M83, and we've previously submitted a resolution in opposition to building M83 dated January 26, 2023, which reiterates that position. M83 sits at the doorstep of our diverse 60-year-old community, which continues to grow and become a first and permanent home for families of varied socioeconomic backgrounds. If ever built, M83 would split Montgomery Village neighborhoods, displacing residents and businesses. It would encroach on residential and school property lines, destroy important wildlife habitats and ecosystems, and further exacerbate vehicular traffic and pedestrian safety issues at vital entry points to Montgomery Village. M83 has already been removed from the National Capital Region Transportation Planning Board's Visualized 2045 Long-Range Transportation Plan, that's a mouthful, and contradicts other county policies and quality of life initiatives. And as my colleagues have stated, current and previous county executives and county councils have agreed not to fund M83 and passed a resolution to not consider the road when evaluating future development in the area. In addition to those points, maintaining the future potential to build M83 does not solve a traffic problem. It simply moves it to the portion of Mid-County Highway that already exists in Montgomery Village and complicates the ability to access our community and homes. Further, the State Highway Administration is currently proposing pedestrian-friendly intersection improvements at the intersection of Montgomery Village and Mid-County Highway. And I seriously question how the addition of a 6-lane multimodal major throughway at that same intersection works in concert to improve pedestrian safety, especially when focusing on county and state zero-death initiatives. Village communities that border the proposed route of M83 also fall inside moderately and highly disadvantaged equity-focused areas. These same areas are also identified for disparities in healthcare and other critical health services. And by your own charge, the Planning Board is committed to developing plans that benefit all community members and reduce or eliminate inequity. Maintaining the potential for another large roadway, which could pollute these communities in many ways, works against that charge and erects a physical barrier that isolates a majority-minority community. In summary, Montgomery Village Foundation supports the removal of M83 from the MPOHT, as well as supports other smart transportation changes and growth that provide increased service to village residents and neighbors, including enhanced ride-on services and bus rapid transit. Again, thanks for the opportunity this evening to weigh in on this difficult recommendation, which will ultimately result in a critical county decision vitally important to all residents in the Up County. Thank you for your consideration of MVF's position, for your consideration of the removal of M83 from the MPOHT, and for the quality of life of 40,000 of your neighbors who call Montgomery Village home.
Thank you so much. We'll take our next group. Is Roberta Steinman in? Mike Hirsch?
Mike Hirsch is not here.
Okay. So William Roberts? Kimberlyn Prasad? Kim Prasad? Wayne Jacobs? Jasheen Carr? Yeah, in any order you want to sit. Okay. Okay, come on. What is your name, ma'am? Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take, this is like the 7th inning stretch here. Just take 60 seconds, just stand up, move your legs, move your arms, and then we'll begin again, okay? Just, Diane Cameron. Okay, please. Okay, let's get going. Thank you for that stretch. You know, we're almost there, so hang in there, please. Okay, so, yeah, please state your name and we'll get going.
Archie Steinman. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, it doesn't sound very loud to me, but
Well,
anyways.
well, yeah, bring it a little closer. And
R.G. Steinman, thank you. I recommend removal of M83 from the Master Plan of Highways and Transitways. I'm going to start with the big picture. We are in an era of multiple environmental crises that will only intensify in the coming years. Fossil fuels have enabled us to grow beyond the ecological limits of planet Earth, resulting in what scientists call overshoot. Humanity using resources at a faster pace than ecosystems can renew, and generating waste at a faster pace than ecosystems can absorb. And this is exactly what we've been doing with our natural areas in Montgomery County, as well as globally. We have been cutting down our forested ecosystems, destroying natural habitats, and losing biodiversity, the ecological foundation upon which life depends. The combination of deforestation, loss of biodiversity, and rising temperatures is a dangerous and unsustainable path. Yet, this is exactly the path we would follow if M83 were to be built. The proposed 5-mile-plus extension of M83 entails a sweeping scale of deforestation and habitat loss, including stream valleys, riparian areas, wetlands, woodlands, and thickets. Here is some of the devastation. The destruction of over 100 acres of high-quality public forest, 14 wetlands, 6 streams, and natural floodplains as the road cuts through 5 parks. It would sever the most significant natural link remaining for ecological connectivity between the 300-acre North Germantown Greenway Stream Valley Park and the expansive Great Seneca Park. The forests that remain would be fragmented and would no longer be suitable forest interior habitat for wildlife. Cutting down forest would exacerbate climate warming and undermine county climate goals to reduce CO2 emissions. Cutting down the forest would significantly disrupt the water cycle, leading to decreased rainfall, increased soil erosion, flooding, and polluted surface runoff from the roads into the streams. Building M83 would cause massive ecological devastation to this large and contiguous forest ecosystem. The most important thing to do right now is to preserve the last remaining natural areas, stop this road from being built, and give future generations a reason to thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kimberlyn Prasad. I live in Wheaton, and full disclosure, I am the executive director of EPIC of MoCo, Empowering People in Communities. But tonight I'm here as an individual and a neighbor of Glenmont Forest Apartments. I'm not here pro or con. I just think it's important that everyone understands and knows what you've done in Wheaton, okay, in the name of smart growth. So Glenmont Forest Apartments is a 458 apartment building that has been approved for, has not been approved, but it's in the plans to be torn down, people displaced, and in its place 2,275 multifamily units, along with 78 townhomes at market rate. The Glenmont Forest Apartments sit along 2 transit corridors, Randolph Road and Georgia Avenue, and the metro is a half a mile away. Perfect smart growth. However, what you've approved is a cut through into a neighborhood so that 1,000 cars, there's going to be 1,000 cars on this property, plus 1,000+ cars on this property, and you've allowed for 105 trees to be cut down to create a new street so that these cars can empty out onto Randolph Road. So once again, this is in the name of smart growth. You've done this. And we have buses, we have metro, and yet you're cutting down trees in order to build Thrive 2050 says we're supposed to be walking, biking, and riding the bus, correct? Yet you approved these cars and the trees being cut down and cars driving through a small neighborhood. I've lived in Wheaton almost 20 years. I didn't even know this neighborhood existed back there. And we're not even going to talk about the watershed. But we're in downtown, in Wheaton, all the density you created, transit galore, yet Up County has nothing. They don't have the transit, they don't have a metro. The way that the budget is going, they will probably, as one speaker said, never have a metro. But I just want people to be aware of what you have voted for. You voted for this because it was in the master plan, and it was approved in the master plan in 2013, if I'm not wrong.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next, please.
Thank you for holding this hearing tonight, Chair Harris and Commissioners. My name is Diane Cameron. I have testified before you on this topic before, but tonight I am here in a different capacity. I am here tonight to represent the Climate Coalition of Montgomery County, and so this is a new organization that for me to be here representing. The Climate Coalition Montgomery County is comprised of 20 groups supporting implementation of the Climate Action Plan. To align our transportation plan with our climate plan, we request that you remove proposed M83 highway from the Master Plan of Highways and Transitways. This is a climate decision for two reasons: reducing carbon emissions and providing climate resilience. Climate reason number one, removing M83 puts us on the right path to meet our zero carbon emissions commitment in the transportation sector by 2035. By contrast, deciding to keep M83 in the master plan diverts us away from our climate goals. It encourages decision makers to continue relying upon car-centric travel, which is a trend in the wrong direction. We've heard tonight about Montgomery DOT's 2017 Mid-County Corridor Study supplemental report. That report found that bus rapid transit on Route 355, combined with not building M83, while improving existing intersections, which was called Scenario 1, yields the lowest vehicle miles traveled and the shortest peak travel times on Route 355 compared with building M83. We support electric vehicles while recognizing that EVs alone are not a climate panacea. Analysts predict that by 2035, 10 years from now, just 13% of vehicles on our roads will be electric. The other 87% will still be fossil fuel based. So alongside a fuel shift from gas to electric, we need a mode shift from cars and trucks to transit, walking, and biking. MCDOT is adapting Ride-on Bus to better meet residents' needs, including in the Up County. And ridership is now increasing, reversing the pandemic decline. Ride-on Reimagined aims to shift mode share from automobiles to bus service. A survey of ride-on drivers helpfully suggested that, quote, the existing system, meaning ride-on, may be optimized as a feeder for BRT, noting that the county is a large employment center with many living in the county also working there, which makes BRT effective. As more and more people choose to take transit, walk, and bike, traffic flow will improve because there will be fewer drivers on the road. Reason number two, climate resilience. By removing M83 from the master plan, you enable protection of the climate resilience forest of the Up County, including parks, wetlands, and the agricultural reserve. The climate resilience forest of the Up County ranges from the North Germantown Greenway Stream Valley Park all the way down to Montgomery Village and even parks in Redland, which includes 100 acres of high biodiversity interior forest. This forest serves as a buffer, protecting residents from extreme climate hazards. Yet proposed M83 highway would damage and fragment this forest, leaving people vulnerable to higher heat levels and winter cold snaps. In summary, removing proposed M83 highway is a crucial first step to align our transportation plan with our climate plan and our climate commitments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please.
Sorry, can you hear me? I'll move it closer. Good evening. I'm William Roberts. I'm a Clarksburg resident and a longtime advocate for communities up county. I'm also a member of the Clarksburg Neighbors Alliance and the board of the Aurora Hills Homeowners Association. I appreciate the opportunity to address you tonight in our community, considering we're the folks that are going to be impacted by this decision here, so thanks for coming up. So I don't bury the lead. I don't believe that you should remove M83 from the master plan of highways and transitways. We are, as has been stated by many people tonight, at a woeful disadvantage up county when it comes to transportation infrastructure. We lack road capacity, transit connectivity, and more. There are lots of solutions to get us out of that hole, one of which relies on keeping our master planned infrastructure on the books. You've heard a lot tonight that I'm not going to retread, but I do want to raise a couple of things that I think are really important. I'm not here just to talk about a road that was promised to communities. I want to have a conversation with you all, with my neighbors, about a transit corridor that we need up county. I support transit up county, and for the record, I disagree and have disagreed with folks who say things like transit won't work up county. Nobody up county will take a bus. I don't think that's true. But we also have to face the reality that we're not going to get the transit system that we need up here to replace every or most of the car trips. So we're not going to get the transit up here that's going to replace the road infrastructure that we need. And so in Montgomery County, we support multimodal transportation infrastructure, I believe. And so it would be puzzling to me for us to remove a potential multimodal transportation corridor from serving an area where such density has been allowed and predicated, frankly, on having that infrastructure. So if you want multimodal transportation that allows more capacity for drivers, the capacity for transit, including the potential for a dedicated bus lane BRT, perhaps, the capacity for bike infrastructure, then removing M83 removes the option for that corridor, removes the option for this community to come together to have a conversation from the discordant voices that you've heard tonight to figure out how we get a corridor that does all of those things. So would urge you, thank you for coming up, would urge you to keep your promise to the up county to give us the transportation infrastructure that we need.
Thank you so much. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Wayne Ackes. I'm a resident of the board's Clarksburg area. I have a degree in civil engineering with a concentration in transportation. I'm here to express my strong support for keeping the M83 project on the master plan of highways and transitways. Based on a thorough review of the history of M83 and the details of the MPOHT 2024 technical update provided to the Up County Citizen Advisory Board, it is imperative that the county updates its evaluation of the need for this highway before removing it from the master plan. The study is over 10 years old and does not account for the significant increase in population, commercial and residential development, and traffic congestion in the Up County region that necessitate this reevaluation. The opposition to this project is underpinned based on the current report, the project long-term environmental impacts, which can be mitigated through context-sensitive roadway designs. However, no one is focusing on the impact of the quality of life of the over 300,000 Up County resident with the traffic congestion. You will hear some people talk about the air pollution and the carbon emissions. This project will reduce that. This will achieve by efficiently moving cars along the roadway and removing cars in certain sectors, and which is part of the overarching county environmental goals. I believe the planning board should undertake a rigorous and comprehensive transportation study to ensure that the removal or retention of a major transportation artery like the Mid-County Highway Extension is based on appropriate and current data analysis. It is important we get this right and align such a decision with Montgomery County's broader land use, economic development, quality of life goals, policies, and realities. I believe a robust study will provide a feasible alternative solution that balances potential environmental impacts and the transportation needs of Up County. Simply put, the do nothing is not an option. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Where did you say you lived, sir?
Boyd's.
Boyd's. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll take our next 5. Kurt Lehman, Michael Larkin, Maria Fernanda McClure, Minnie Varghese, and Robert Nelson. Any? Yes, wait. Well, you share. You guys could share. Okay. I don't share. Oh, you don't share? Oh, boy, you got to share. You want your own highway. All right, we'll get going. Please start, sir.
My name is Robert Nelson, and I'm a past chair of the Up County Citizens Advisory Board. On March 3rd, it will be 20 years since we purchased a new home in Goshen. Earlier, having a real estate agent license, I eagerly examined the master plans, because master plans matter. A few blocks away, there was a park, Goshen Branch Stream Valley Park. The first transitway in Maryland was to be constructed from Shady Grove to Clarksburg. Goshen Road was to be improved and widened, and the Eastern Arterial was to be completed. After examining numerous alternatives, the recommendation was made for M83 to be built on the master plan route. I support that recommendation. Sadly, today, these master plan items are not only a dream, and our rural roads are packed with new residents attracted by unbridled up-county development. Only the park exists, but is no longer fully accessible, as it was converted into wetlands. In 2012, the park, 3 blocks from my house, became a construction site with over 100 trees a foot in diameter and larger cut down, and trucks carried away about 4 feet of the soil from 25 acres. I'm not sympathetic with the argument that M83 will destroy 1 acre of wetlands when 25 acres of wetlands have already been built in Goshen at a cost of only $100,000 per acre. And the outrageous construction costs claimed by the M83 opposition don't reconcile with recent Maryland state projects. For example, just 2 years ago, 9 miles of Maryland 32 was expanded to 4 lanes at a cost of $172 million. Bioswales to filter and manage stormwater were constructed, and 14,000 trees were planted. Let's not only keep M83 on the master plan, but let's build it now. There's no other proposed up-county capital improvement project that will benefit more people than building M83 on the master plan route. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next participant.
Oh, you do share.
No.
He was sharing. Good evening, and thank you so much for your time and attention to this very important topic. My name is Maria Fernanda McClure, speaking as an individual, full-life Montgomery County resident and longtime Clarksburg resident. I urge you to give this long overdue project and our community the respect and attention they deserve. You've told us repeatedly to wait for our basic infrastructure. Now we ask you to wait. Wait for accurate current data and until workable solutions with realistic costs and timelines can be reviewed. Wait. Keep M83 in the master plan until we have an alternative. The completion of M83 has long been delayed based on environmental issues. When do we consider how not building the extension impacts not only the environment, but the equally important areas of affordable housing, transit, business, the economy, safety? What good is it to have affordable housing if people can't get to work in a reasonable amount of time? How do you implement a sound BRT program if the existing roads can't support it? How do you increase economic growth and tax revenue when existing businesses can't attract customers or employees? The overload on 355 poses both an environmental and safety issue, but it also affects our economy. Southbound traffic is so bad, it's easier to do business in Frederick County. This also reduces local employment opportunities. Why are we letting Montgomery County sales and tax dollars go elsewhere? Studies today would reinforce that we need both BRT and more roadways. Sincere consideration of the BRT plan requires updated research comparing the impact of our current population, traffic patterns, and a workable BRT plus M83 plan. Please wait. We know so much more about building roads that best serve communities since M83's original design. It is time for a fresh perspective, prioritizing people, places, and sustainability over outdated models. Rethinking M83 can relieve traffic congestion while we create human-scaled streets, incorporate transit solutions, and preserve the environment. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Please.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Mike Larkin, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Action Committee for Transit. First, I want to thank the planning staff's patience this morning via email. We had a sick colleague, and I'm substituting, so I thank them for being flexible today. The Action Committee for Transit, we're dedicated to better communities through improved public transit. I took the mark here tonight, and I'm very fortunate I had that opportunity. But I know many people don't have that opportunity, and I also know it's going to be a lot harder going home the other way. That's why ACT believes as a county we need to prioritize better mobility options that prioritize moving people as safely as possible and not just single occupancy cars. That's why we want to see the M83 highway removed from the master plan of highways. I won't rehash the data, the information you have on what happens when you build more roads, more highways, more lanes. You already have it. All I will say is it is time to be honest about building more roads. We're not going to relieve people's traffic problems. You're going to sit there the way I have sat in traffic. And when I saw a road near where I grew up, not here in Montgomery County, somewhere else, it was expanded. The traffic filled up within a year. I would ask, is there evidence showing that that's not going to happen here? Is there something special about this highway? I don't think there is. Instead, what we will get is more vehicle miles traveled, which we know is causing the greenhouse gas emissions that fuels the climate crisis that we are all living through right now. What we do know is a solution to a lot of congestion, and a solution to the gases that is warming our climate is more public transportation options. And that's why we should just prioritize building out high-capacity transit, two-way mark, the BRT 355, and yes, I would say one day extending the Red Line. I know that's a long shot goal, but you want to know something? A highway is not a quick build project. It's not cheap. It won't be here tomorrow. I recognize great transit won't be here tomorrow. But in light of the budgetary problems that we're constantly reading about going on in the state of Maryland, it's time to make a choice in our priorities. And I would say the climate action plan that this county has passed, the general plan for IVE 2050 that has been passed, various other resolutions of the county council, the planning board, we've chosen our priority in those documents. It's better transit. It's better active transportation options to allow safer biking and walking. So let's move ahead on those priorities that we have already committed ourselves to. Now is a good time to state once and for all and stop the constant conversation that has now become repetitive and just do what we've already committed ourselves to. Better transit, better active transportation options, because the data is in front of us that we are not going to relieve the congestion problems by just building another road. It flies in the face of experience. It also flies in the face of the climate crisis that we are facing. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you so much. Welcome.
My name is Minnie Varghese. I'm a resident of Clarksburg. I commute on 270. I leave at 6:30 in the morning. And at 6:30, it used to be great to be able to get to work on time in Bethesda. But now, after the pandemic slowly has gotten to the point where I sit in miserable traffic. The bus is great, except the bus sits in the same identical traffic because the HOV does not start until Shady Grove heading south. I once petitioned all of you in order to start the HOV up in Clarksburg. You rejected it because you said there was too much traffic, which is unbelievable. It was you. Somebody rejected it. Okay? I want M83 finished so I can get home to my children and I can get to work quickly. Right now, I leave at 6:30. Teleworking is about to get taken away by the federal government and the traffic is going to go through the ceiling. I'm probably going to have to leave at 5:30. I tried leaving at 3 o'clock one day from work to get home to Clarksburg from Bethesda, thinking I could make it quickly. I got stuck in traffic. I didn't make my appointment. This is getting worse and worse. We need a better solution. And I heard that people seem to think that only Clarksburg and Germantown use 270 heading south. I have 3 employees that commute down from Frederick. There's a lot of people in Frederick that use 270 to get to work. And Damascus, they're also another feeder. We need better solutions. Please finish M83.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kurt Lehman, and I've been a Montgomery County resident for past 50 years. I would like to address my concerns for the unbuilt southern section of M83, which is near my home in Durwood, Maryland, and I'm in favor of removal of M83 from the master plan. When I moved into our neighborhood over 30 years ago, it used to be a peaceful and tranquil community. Then Shady Grove Road was expanded to 6 lanes, increasing the noise level. Then Maryland 200, aka the ICC, paved over woods that were full of wildlife that surrounded Mill Creek. Many people, as a result, in our neighborhood fled to quieter places they once cherished. So now our neighborhood is currently surrounded by 3 sides of 6-lane highways. If M83 gets built, it would add insult to injury, as we would now be completely surrounded by 6-lane highways. One of the consequences of this fragmentation, we would lose pedestrian access to nearby communities and parks. Another is the noise level, which is already high, especially in nice weather when drag racing is ear-piercing and would breach the threshold of most people, even with noise walls. Also, the local watershed has taken a toll from the impervious surface of the highways. Stormwater retention ponds just create stagnant pools rife with mosquitoes, which can spread diseases to humans and pets. Furthermore, there's a thermal rise of the water runoff that aquatic life cannot be sustained, and this cannot be mitigated. Lastly, more fragmentation leads to further losses of habitat, wildlife, and biodiversity, and disruption of ecological communities. Enough is enough. Our neighborhood has endured plenty of damage, and the quality of life has already suffered. Please don't add the nail coffin. Let us use taxpayers' money for better purposes, like maintaining the roads we already have. Again, please remove M83 from the master plan.
Thank you so much. We'll go with our next group. Tim Goodfellow, Margaret Shope, Jeanette Rosenbaum, Beth Wolf, and Deborah Sarabia. Okay, thank you. Please.
My name is Beth Wolf, and I'm representing the Clarksburg Neighbors Alliance. Good evening, Montgomery County Planning Board. My name is Beth Wolf, and I'm the president of the Clarksburg Neighbors Alliance. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak on behalf of the residents of Clarksburg. Many testimonies shared raised concern about the environmental impacts of M83, and these concerns are definitely valid, which is why we have to take a broader, more holistic conversation. While building M83 will have an environmental impact, we need to consider the significant environmental impacts of not building this road. The broader consequences for the community across the county. Since the environmental impact seems to be at the heart of this protest, let's look at this holistically. Right now, idling cars stuck in traffic on 355 and 270 are polluting the air that we breathe. Residents are forced to take longer, less direct commutes because a vital connection like M83 does not exist. This means more emissions, noise pollution, and strain on our infrastructure. Additionally, the lack of roadways to support public transit limits our ability to offer greener transportation options like buses in up-county regions of Clarksburg and Damascus. At the same time, ongoing MoCo-approved development in Clarksburg is encroaching on the green spaces that opponents of M83 seek to protect. New housing developments like Linthicum West, Miles Coppola, and Ashford Woods, which are added to the over 40,000 person growth in just 20 years, will impact the headwaters of the Seneca Valley River running directly through Clarksburg. If we are truly committed to protecting these green areas, we should be questioning all new development in Up County, not just this 5-mile section of road. But the reality is, some development is necessary. The good news is that we have knowledge and technology to mitigate environmental impacts responsibly. Montgomery County has been proactive in this area with a variety of mitigation strategies in Clarksburg and Up County, including but not limited to stormwater management, forest conservation, stream valley setbacks, greenway trails, protection for sensitive areas like 10 Mile Creek, reduced housing density, and realignment of roads to minimize environmental impact. We can take the same thoughtful approach with M83, designing human-scale greenway parkway, not a highway, prioritizing sustainability. Features like animal crossings, sound barriers, innovative water management systems can make this project environmentally responsible while meeting the needs of a growing community. But the impacts of not building M83 go far beyond the environment. Without this road, Clarksburg and the Up County area will continue to face significant challenges, hindering our ability to thrive as a community in the following ways. 1, economic and business development. Clarksburg remains a bedroom community with limited local businesses and no major economic opportunities. Without improved connectivities, businesses will choose to more accessible locations, taking jobs with them. And Up County residents will keep driving to Frederick for shopping and services, taking potential tax revenue with them. 2, access to education. Without M83, Clarksburg students face exhausting commutes to magnet programs and higher education institutes like universities at Shady Grove and Montgomery College. These barriers limit academic success and career development that other parts of the county enjoy. A direct route like M83 is essential for unlocking the potential of our students and supporting future success. Number 3, access to equity. Clarksburg's diverse community is disproportionately affected by the lack of infrastructure, which isolates residents from jobs, healthcare, and education. While the west side of 270 benefits from Great Seneca Highway, our community is left behind, deepening inequities. Building M83 would bridge this divide, ensuring all families have fair access to opportunities needed to thrive. The impacts of not building M83 are just as significant and in many cases greater.
Thank you.
Good evening, planning board members. Thanks for coming up here. My name is Debbie Sarabia. I live in Gaithersburg. I'm the past president of Seneca Creek Watershed Partners, and I'm a current member of Gaithersburg Environmental Affairs Committee. My comments today here are my own, though. I cannot express enough my opposition to the M83 highway extension, and I ask that you remove it once and for all. When I moved to Montgomery County 10 years ago, I was delighted to discover the Seneca Greenway Trail, an easily accessible natural respite from the daily city life. You might imagine how stunned I was to find out that this refuge was threatened by the proposed M83. Now, for a good sense of what the impact would be, I encourage you to walk the affected section of the Seneca Greenway in the 461-acre Great Seneca Stream Valley Park Unit 1. Start at Frederick Road, walk north 1/4 mile. Then the road noise from Frederick is replaced by the sound of birds, wind in the trees, flowing streams. But if M83 were built, the only thing you would hear is traffic. An enormous bridge would cross Seneca Creek, 1/2 mile in, then the highway would parallel the trail north until it hits the North Germantown Stream Valley Park, and it would just barrel right through that park. Floodplains, wetlands, and forests would be lost. We'll never escape the noise. 3 miles of the trail experience would be ruined. Now, in the 1960s, when M83 was conceived, there was no EPA, gas-contained lead. Highways were run through landscapes and neighborhoods that officials considered expendable. Today, we know the impacts of our road building compulsion, and our transportation policy must evolve. Parkland, open space, clean air, and water are part of the public trust. I'm calling on you to protect these and ask you to cancel M83. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Hi. I've been here before. I think I've got a couple of points that no one has raised.
Okay.
Good evening, Montgomery County Planning Board. I'm Jeanette Rosenbaum. I'm a resident of Montgomery Village, and I'm a birder. 1/3 of Americans consider themselves birders, and Montgomery County is less than 100 miles from the Chesapeake Bay and the peninsula of the Eastern Shore, which are designated as a globally important bird area. That makes us an important stopover point for birders who need a home base for their explorations, as well as for birds navigating a long and difficult journey across continents. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service reported that in 2022, Americans spent more than $250 billion on wildlife watching, with birds being the type of wildlife people most want to watch. These are dollars that could be coming to the hotels, restaurants, and outdoor gear suppliers of Montgomery County if we preserve the habitat corridors that attract the birds that both local and traveling birders want to see. Aside from being good for the economy, birding is good for people. I published a magazine article about birding last year, and the birding expert I talked to told me about the increasing amount of research showing that spending time outdoors lowers our blood pressure and improves our mood. Being in natural settings also helps to restore our attention, which is important for regulating our emotions, focusing on important tasks, and making good decisions. On that subject, other research shows that people making bad decisions is the leading cause of car accidents. Taking away opportunities for people to spend time in nature as part of the process of building a new road is counterproductive for Montgomery County's Vision Zero initiative. What if instead we preserved our parks, regulated our emotions, and were more patient about sharing the roads we already have? I understand what the folks from Clarksburg are saying. I hate traffic too, but am I willing to sacrifice parks, birding opportunities, and the benefits of time in nature for a new road that in the end probably won't reduce traffic anyway? No, I think that's a bad trade. Let's work together to find better solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, I'm Margaret Shope from Germantown. At the end of 2017, the County Council passed another resolution, the Emergency Climate Mobilization. This report was prepared by the county government, by Park and Planning Commission, and also the public school system. I'm going to read a part of that report here, as it is very relevant to the topic of why M83 should be removed from the master plan. In the report, it is written, The report was formed to identify specific methods of achieving 100% greenhouse gas reduction by 2035, 10 years from now. It will require a massive cultural shift by aligning all levels of government, all residents, all businesses at a scale not comparable to anything previously undertaken by this county. The group went on to write, forging such a dramatically different future will require difficult policy decisions, and this one, a willingness to consider and discuss measures currently regarded as politically charged, like taking M83 out of the master plan. Now, what topic has this board discerned that has been more politically charged than this? I urge the planning board and your staff to return to the county council's resolution on emergency climate mobilization and to use it as your guiding light to remove M83 from the master plan of highways and to focus on prioritizing people-centric transportation on existing major roads.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, planning members. I'm speaking on behalf of the TAME Coalition this evening. I urge the planning board to vote to remove the entirety of the proposed M83 highway from the master plan of highways and transitways. The proposed M83 highway alignment bisects 5 public parks, the Seneca Creek Greenway Trail, and directly adjoins over 500 residential dwellings. M83's alignment crosses and covers ecological hotspots that have high biodiversity as documented by the county's Parks Department and others. M83's construction will result in profound destruction of forests, habitats, wetlands, and floodplain. I've hiked the entire alignment, and no amount of mitigation could ever replace those resources and systems. The harm to neighborhoods, people, public parkland, and natural resources is severe and cannot be overstated. The extensive forest lands, streams, slopes, wetlands, and floodplain that are present today and that constitute the M83 alignment will grow increasingly more valuable to future generations and to buffer impacts from our disrupted climate. M83's alignment traverses 3 equity focus areas, home to large, ethnically varied populations with greater economic and social challenges. It's these diverse communities that will be harmed by M83's construction, subjecting them and thousands of others who live adjacent to the alignment to increased air and noise pollution when forest lands are replaced with asphalt and cars. M83's presence in county master plans misleads people into thinking that it's the transportation savior for the mid-county and up-county. M83's retention in master plans enables people to exaggerate the likelihood and benefits of the highway, when in fact county decisions and actions over the years have rendered M83 outmoded, archaic, and defunct. For example, the county consciously and deliberately designed and installed the Watkins Mill Road Bridge over Whetstone Run to not accommodate a future M83 crossing of this creek. The county's 2017 resolution nullifies M83's utility in master planning and capacity analyses. The Transportation Planning Board of the Washington Council of Governments removed M83 highway from its 2045 and 2050 long-range transportation plans due to air pollution and air quality violations that M83 would cause. M83's functional utility is dubious. M83 will not be an expressway or speedway to Montgomery Village in any shape or form. If constructed, there will be 5 major intersections along its 5-mile length: Brink Road, 118, Middlebrook Road, Watkins Mill Road, and Montgomery Village Avenue. The county's 2017 Mid-County Corridor study showed that M83 would provide minimal reduction in travel time from 3 to 10 minutes between Route 27 and Montgomery Village and Gaithersburg. M83 is not a relief valve for I-270 traffic, which we all know is crowded with people commuting to jobs in the Down County, Washington, D.C., and Northern Virginia. Viable and realistic alternatives to M83 do exist that will improve mobility, increase capacity, and reduce delays in the Mid-County corridor. These M83 alternatives include a fully functional bus rapid transit system on 355 to Clarksburg, increased ride-on bus service to the Up-County, expanded MARC train service, as well as enhancements to existing transportation system infrastructure. We must acknowledge that some past plans and aspirational ideas become expired relics that must be discarded. To this end, the county's Department of Transportation recommended the removal of M83 Highway from the Master Plan of Highways in a letter dated September 12, 2024 to the Planning Board. Thank you.
Thank you. So Tim, I see you show up also as an individual.
I do, later on in the evening.
Why don't you just do it? You're here. Why don't you just do it?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to supply a few more facts that people may not know about the proposed highway. The alignment actually is on a section of Wildcat Road, which is an exceptional rustic road in the county. And it does bisect 5 public parks. That's the Wildcat Branch Stream Valley Park, the Seneca Crossing Local Park, North Germantown Greenway Stream Valley Park, the Seneca Creek Stream Valley Park, and Blum Park in the city of Gaithersburg, plus Montgomery Village open space parcels and the Greenway Trail. The highway will degrade and destroy and pollute these resources. The alignment of the highway parallels, it's not perpendicular, it parallels Whetstone Run for hundreds of feet. That's an egregiously poor design for a highway, and that should never be built, and it should be removed from the master plans. Movement, we've heard a lot of people from Clarksburg. Clarksburg movement is north-south. We've heard many people talk about commuting to jobs in D.C., Northern Virginia. M83 is this eastern arc to Montgomery Village, which is not a employment magnet. The development approvals in Clarksburg were not dependent on the construction of M83. If it was, the road would be built by now. So now it becomes, now it becomes an economic, social, and environmental decision by the county to make. But the costs for the highway are too high, the destruction is too high, and the benefits are minuscule. So I ask for you to employ your role as stewards of public parkland, natural resources, and sound planning and forward thinking for the 21st century.
Thank you. So we'll go to our next group. Hang in here with us. We have 1.5 more groups. So the next is Carrie Kosicki, Krupal Chuka, Malikarjuna Devala, and Ting Mei Chow, and Paula Messenger. So we only have 2 left. So why don't we bring up the whole group? Yeah. So Vijam Yathi Krishna, please. And then we'll add in one more chair here because we're this big happy family. Siva Reddy.
Nobody. We're teaching you alternative planning.
Alternative planning, that's right. Okay, yes.
Why? Is that an issue? I mean, no, it's just okay.
Yeah.
As long as she requested it, I did
No,
not.
no, you can request whatever you want.
M83.
Over there. You're going to show.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Why don't you just announce your name and you can start, please.
Paula Messenger speaking as an individual. My property, purchased in 1989, is surrounded by Shady Grove Road, the Metro Access Road, and now the ICC. The wildlife is abundant, with deer, rabbits, groundhogs, squirrels, red fox, bats, and various species of birds in and through my yard. Those animals come for the buffet, enjoying my gardening efforts more than I do. Despite the major roadways surrounding my neighborhood, the animals have and will prevail. My house is 1.6 miles from the Shady Grove Metro. During my decades-long career, I worked in Tyson's Corner, Merrifield, Seven Corners, and Telegraph Road. Although local and convenient, the Metro was not a viable option. I asked the county to use and base your decisions on current data, not the 2013 environmental report or the 2017 supplemental report, to recognize some referenced treed areas are in fact in existence due to the M83 right-of-way, and according to the planning board, 4 parks would be affected by the northern extension, not 7, not 5. The current M83 went through 2 parks. I ask that you not remove the M83 extensions and the adjacent bikeway, which is, by the way, part of this decision, from the master plan without replacing them with a viable transportation alternative. The development of public transportation and/or a bikeway does not have to be exclusive of implementing either of the M83 extensions. A rapid bus transit network can utilize to improve user accessibility and can be designed for it, which 355 is not. On a final note, I question how many people, those who have testified, those on the council, and those on the planning board, have driven to Germantown and Clarksburg in traffic during rush hour traffic. The real question is, why would the county remove M83 from the master plan, and to what purpose? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please start here.
All right. Good evening. My name is Carrie Kasicki, and I'm the Montgomery County Advocacy Manager for the Coalition for Smarter Growth. I'm here tonight to ask you to remove M83 from the Master Plan of Highways and Transitways. You have my written testimony, so I'm going to just quickly draw your attention to a few key pieces of information. First, forecasts that have predicted increased traffic volumes on local roads haven't actually lined up with observed traffic volumes as measured by the Maryland Department of Transportation and State Highway Administration. Based on our review of data from MDOT SHA that documents annual traffic volumes on all state roads, what we've actually seen is that traffic volumes, and I know that this might not match up with people's intuitive experiences, but what the data shows is that traffic volumes peaked on Maryland 355 in 2017, and they have been declining since 2017. This is data from 2023. And I hear some laughter, so I would recommend taking that up with MDOT. You're giving me a lot of credit. So this same data shows that traffic volumes are not increasing on other local roads. Secondly, and also forgot to mention that SHA had predicted that traffic volumes would increase by 34 to 48% on Maryland 355 by 2030. And again, we're actually seeing a decrease in traffic volumes right now since 2017. Secondly, investments in designing and building BRT on Maryland 355 are now well underway at the Montgomery County Department of Transportation. They are no longer just plans on a piece of paper. And the county's recently released Ride on Reimagined bus network redesign plan outlines additional concrete forthcoming added transit connections up county. Finally, I'd like to echo many of the comments made by other folks who have spoken very eloquently about the many reasons to remove M83 from the Master Plan of Highways and Transitways, but in particular, I'd like to mention the comments made by Ben Ross and Caroline Taylor, which I found very, very thoughtful, very moving. Studies of the well-documented phenomenon of induced demand tell us that adding more road capacity does not lead to long-term gains in traffic relief. Up County deserves real and comprehensive transportation solutions, including frequent and reliable access to public transit, instead of what is effectively a costly and environmentally damaging empty promise. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello all. My name is Krupal Chukka, I'm a resident of Clarksburg. So, closer. Thank you. So, after hearing people talk, it looks like there are two different views here, right? One is either you care about climate, or you have to take public transport, or you can't take road. For me, it looks like a false choice. Why can't you have both? I want to be climate friendly, but I want to have, I want to be able to travel, right? And one of the solutions we were trying to say is like, why don't you take rapid bus transit? I live about 1.5 miles from 355. How do I get to 355 to catch a bus? So what are my options? I'm trying to think of this. I'm going in traffic. I'm trying to find solutions. And also some people are saying if you build roads, traffic's going to grow. Roads doesn't get traffic. People, if you get more people, you'll have more traffic. If you are approving new projects until we have necessary infrastructure in place. Because I'm seeing that every day there is new construction. There is new construction on 355. There's new construction, there are new houses going on, and there's new planned developments going on. So at one end you are saying, okay, we're not going to build any new roads. And we are saying, okay, we're going to provide alternative transportation systems which are not practical at all. I'll tell you why. We do not have enough density to have a viable public transport solution, because you have to subsidize public transport. Where are you getting the money? Afterwards, now you're saying that Metro is going broke because we do not have enough ridership. What do you think? You're going to have enough ridership for buses now after we're going through? I don't think, let's talk some viable solutions. It's not that, I know we want to go to the higher ideal, but let's keep our ground reality here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your opinions. Please.
So I had tried to register. Can you hear me? I tried to register as the HO for my HOA and also as a person. So can I just combine it like you did for the other gentleman?
Please.
Okay.
You have 4 minutes for everything, okay? You want to do it. You don't have 2, right?
Okay.
You have
Okay.
1. Choose whichever one you want.
No, I thought 4 plus 2 because.
No, you have 4.
Okay. Okay. So this is Vaijayanti Krishnan. I'm representing the Summerfield Crossing HOA. We have 250 homes, and we are located in Boyd, just off 355, half a mile from 355. I know a lot of comments have been made, so I'm going to keep it brief. I wasn't hoping to talk, so thank you for that. I've heard that this 5.7-mile road is going to be the do or die for climate change, right? More roads means, birds can fly and get to DC to their watering holes, and this 5.7 miles is going to be the be-all and end-all of climate change. And my understanding is climate change impacts are more comprehensive. It's not based on one strip of 5 miles. If that is the case, if it is that important, then all road construction in Montgomery County should be stopped. Because if 5.7 miles can make that kind of impact, we should stop every road construction that's going on right now, because we are killing the environment in an exponential manner. So trying to link climate change, which is a more comprehensive and a county or a country-based assessment, and linking it to saying this 5.7 miles is going to be all or end all, is just a false straw man's argument, in my opinion. And if you're thinking about that, if you're thinking 5.7 miles makes a difference and the flora and fauna and environmental impacts are unmitigated, the same planning board, maybe not you guys because you came 1 year ago, the same planning board approved 40,000 people into Clarksburg in a high-density single-family townhome and multi-apartment dwellings. Okay, 40,000 people in 10 years with not promise. Promises can be broken, but the justification for putting that many people in Clarksburg, which has the aquifer, which has the 10-mile creek, which has all these, the reason was to put them in high-density areas so that this road would help them get to where they can while still maintaining the environmental, diversity of the Clarksburg and 10 Mile Creek and all the other areas. So otherwise we could have sprawling bungalows. That's a rural area. We could have had that. We didn't have that. We came there with the understanding that these roads will be built as population increases. So to do a bait and switch, saying, yeah, we'll approve all the development, get all the property taxes, get everything in there, and then trap us into this, dependency on 355 is just basically bad, bad planning. And you guys are the planning board, okay? So that's one thing. Second question is 1.3 billion. 1.3 billion for a 5.7 mile road, that's atrocious. That's like the GDP of a small nation. So let's not get, swayed by these numbers and have these, hand-waving things. I know the county has smarter people. You have excellent SMEs who have time after time after time in multiple reports shown that the environmental impacts have been mitigated. Someone said it was less than 1 acre of wetland loss because all those mitigation measures that can be implemented by your smart subject matter experts, and who did not recommend this. If they were that smart, if this was so bad, your own subject matter experts would have told you, put this in M83. You listen to 20 people on some unconnected meeting and said, hey, let's put it in because politically it's fine. But look at 2017 and 2018. 2,500 people in Clarksburg, Boyd, Damascus area signed petitions and submitted to the Planning Commission saying they want M83. In spite of that, because of the political pressure and lobbyists, we didn't get that. We had to have this half-assed thing where they said future development will not be considering M83. But guess what? The development that needs M83 is already sitting there, and we are landlocked. Okay? So this is not a question of, future development and birds are not finding their way. The birds are not using 355. They'll find their way flying around. Okay? They are not stuck in 355. If you're talking about air pollution, I sit for between Middlebrook, which is 3 miles, less than 3 miles from my house. It takes me 15 minutes to get there. So that air pollution is also equally important when thousands of cars are sitting in 355. You're going to have the same number of cars, divide them, get the air pollution down. Okay. So thank you for the time. Thank you for your opportunity.
Thank you so much. Next, please. Thank you.
Yep. Good evening, the board. Thank you for the time. First, I have a question.
Can you announce your name, please?
Oh,
first?
yes. My name is Teng Mei Chow. I used to live in Rockville, Germantown, and Clarksburg. I also live in HOA dense development, and now actually I live in a cultural reserve area. So my position is keep the M83 for sure. We'll discuss more study later, but keep it first. First, my question. Have we done study or any of you guys pro to take the M83 off from the map? Think about Montgomery Village. When you first developed Montgomery Village in 1960s and 70s, how much of the wildlife we destroyed? Did we? If we don't destroy any wildlife, that means it's okay, right? If that development can build, then the other one can build. M83 has no problem. If you say, you destroy some, then we survive all those 60 years. What's the problem with that? That's my first question. Second, tonight's argument all about 1.3 billion, 20,000 trees, streams, wildlife, birds, biodiversity, parks, and all the stuff, right? But have you thought about the human pain? We all think about all those non-human pains, and we never thought about all those 300,000 people of our county of the human pain. Are we putting people first, or are we putting the birds first? And how many birds? Think about it. And when we talk about $1.3 billion, where those dollars come from? The taxpayers, the revenue generator. Who are they? Property tax. People live in Clarksburg, Germantown, everywhere. If we ever get the M83 built, that 1.3 billion might be generated so much faster than now, because the economy development, the property value, people coming, living in this community. Look at Northern Virginia. Look at how much they already get their tax revenue to build all the roads. Number 3, there's some impact. Talk about, I see all those nature beauty. I totally have it. But there's also alternative solution. You can win. In Clarksburg now, you can see all the wildlife as well. It's human development and wildlife coexist very harmoniously, very nicely. Like what we say.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate your comments. Please, sir.
Good evening. My name is Shiva Reddy, and I sent my testimony before. I'm a resident of the county. I lived in Gaithersburg, Germantown, and currently I'm living in Clarksburg. The point that I wanted to ask is, why are we putting ourselves in this situation right now? You know, you did a master plan. Master plan is old. Master plans get old because master plans are created for future. So you plan it, you have intelligently put together a plan, and you built part of it, and now you ended up questioning a portion of it after building a part of it and allowing the development on the other side. So why are we putting ourselves in this situation, and what are the repercussions of doing this? You are dividing the county, unnecessarily awakening selective environmental evangelists and coming at midnight here and preaching you about environmental problems as if the county is destroying the environment, as if the Clarksburg people are against the environment. This is not the environment question. We all love environment. We want to live peacefully. This is the question of completing a master plan where you have allowed the parts to be already built. And this is a planned growth. Planned growth happens. Tomorrow I can retire myself and sit in Clarksburg and I say, hey, no development, no life can happen beyond me. No, that's not the right way to look at it. There is a growth, there is a life that needs to happen, there's a life around us to live. We have a better solutions, better options, roads can be built. What you are seeing here is a selective evangelists and special interest groups unnecessarily fighting against each other. You make it really political. Mr. Leggett, Mr. Duncan were here before, long back, promised that this development should happen sensibly. Mr. Leggett, when he's opening the Harris Theater, he told me in person that the day voters are here in Clarksburg, you will get the road being built. Today we are talking about close to 200,000 population that are looking for transportation that is part of the master plan. So I urge the county, don't divide it, don't put yourself in this situation where you end up hearing poems and entertainment lessons on environment rather than building what is the right thing to do. Pay attention to the people's real problems. If somebody's backyard is being exposed, then find an alternative to that. But rest everything about environment and all that is nonsense and special interest group here. Please do the right thing by building MIT3.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming tonight. We appreciate all of your testimony. We want to hear from you. What I also want to say, we really appreciate your engagement, and we'll be hosting work sessions on the plan in the coming months. You'll get notification. The dates will be posted on our website within the agenda links, if you look on the Planning Board agenda links. Also, the public record will be kept open until January 24th. So if you still want to provide testimony, please send it to our office. The record will be open until the 24th. And so last, till, what is it? Okay, but one of the things, there are a lot of thank yous go out tonight. You know, this was a major undertaking to have this public hearing here because it has to be videotaped, it has to be live streamed. So I'd like to thank our communication staff. Also, I'd also like to thank the planning staff and their directors. Jason Sartori is here, but many of the planning staff are here tonight, so I really want to appreciate that. I want to thank the commissioners, the board commissioner's office, who helped put this all together. It took a lot of work. I also want to thank the council member Balcombs. He has representatives here tonight. I want to thank our hosts at the Up County Center tonight. So it took a lot to have this happen. You know, generally they would close by now, but because of you and because of this is so important, they stayed open later tonight. So thank you so much. Have a great evening. Be safe.
And thank you from all of us.
Oh yeah, there you, where is it? Thank you. Have a good evening and Happy New Year. Thank you.